Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I told you it would only be a quick moment. We are getting ready to get into our Nets teams here. Radiance and No Team. I'm still here, Travesty, joined with Smats, and we have a new guest here joining us for this. Cubby, how are you doing, man? You got to sit back and watch some crazy games here.
I know. I feel like I had like the best seat in the house for the last two games, and I mean, I think it's so perfect. Like, given the fact that this is the second year of Proving Grounds, that iteration, and so many players that we really had our eyes on this past year did get promoted. 16 players into Academy, but you know what? That does open up a lot of rooms for new faces to emerge, and I think it says a lot that our top two teams, one of them, of course, being an Academy team, they got pushed to the limits going to 3. And I think that a lot of players in that series made a name for themselves. Of course, 100 Thieves next and GGA still taking those wins across both streams. But I think it's a big opportunity, 2022, given the new focus that we have on NA talent. And I love seeing some of those players step up early and looking forward to seeing who might step up in this game. Because, man, I think these are two of the youngest and most exciting teams when it comes to the personnel outside of the LCS affiliates. I'm really excited to get into this game.
Yeah, speaking of new NA talent, we are still here in Group A, the group of the Zoomers. All three 15-year-olds are in this group. We just saw Sniper take his first series win, and now we have Griffin versus Crimson. So it's just a great group to have some games in. I'm really excited by this one, and I'm really, really pumped to get into the gameplay as well.
It's the group of all the freshest North American talent that can possibly be showing up here, right? You were talking about it before, like when we were off air, about how this group itself has some of the youngest players inside of it. And talking about the youngest players that are inside of it, man, looking at the squad, Radiance and No Team, they've got some scary things in their pocket that can be. There's a lot of contention that could possibly come out here. Cubby, if you'd like to touch on that, as there's a lot going on here.
I think our big focus for this matchup is actually in the center of the map, the mid-jungle duo. As on the side of Radiance, Bluster and Crimson, we did see Crimson's twin in that last series in General Sniper or Sniper. Now we get to see Crimson. And I think that this is a player that I'm really excited about Crimson. I think it's really fair, or you know, his twin brother, number one on the ladder. I think one of the most insane mechanical prospects that NA has ever produced from the ladder. But Crimson is right up there as someone that's very talented. And, man, his Syndra in 2 games, 2 out of the 3 wins for Radiance came off of his Syndra with a 13.5 KDA across both. I think it's going to be a really important pick. And Bluster, he's only 16 as well. He subbed in for EGP, didn't make Proving Grounds as that last second sub. But I'm really looking forward to seeing him in the system for another year and with a more stable roster with some talented pieces around him.
These two are super aggressive. They were playing things like Rek'Sai and Kayn as well. Blue Kayn, not the healing Kayn, the killing Kayn. That variety.
5 and 6, yeah.
Yeah, that guy was crazy, Bluster, in the games yesterday. And yeah, I think the focus around the mid jungle is really important. Griffin and Blaze as well had a really stellar OQ. On top of that, they executed some really sick dives on the mid lane as well. So expect some fireworks in this lane for sure.
100%. And I mean, it's not even just, you look at the mid jungle and we talk about how it's going to be fireworks popping off inside of it. Man, you look at everybody that's around it too, and it's easy to see them igniting their own path here too. I mean, you've got players like Dragoon, who just came off of a first place finish inside of Scouting Grounds, who's looking to continue to make a name for themselves as well. And you've got all these different pieces that are around this mid jungle that's already hype enough as is. That is looking absolutely insane. And honestly, seeing these two teams clash, this is a matchup I've been looking forward to personally all day.
And you didn't even mention the bottom lane here for No Team, Scooped and the artist formerly known as Plux. These guys had some really good games as well. I specifically remember the Jinx Zillion that they performed super, super well on in the team fights in the last couple of days in the OQs on top of that. So just stacked with talent all across the board. I think this is going to be one of our most competitive best of threes in the entire group stage.
Absolutely agree there, man. And I want to real quick go ahead and go into something that was a contention in the last game here as we're looking to get everything prepared. I'm seeing the draft and how important it was in the last couple of games that we saw in both the unified stream and then over here. Is there any picks in particular that you guys are looking at to be a contested pick or have huge importance here?
So the Syndra for me is definitely one, as I think Crimson was superb on the Syndra, and that contributed to 2 out of the 3 wins, the only 2 games that he played it. Also, for Blaze, on the flip side, he was 9-0-1 in his one Syndra game as well. Jinx, as Smacks properly mentioned, for Scooped,
Yep.
2-1 on that champion. But I think the top lane, you kind of painted it, given the fact that like some of the pieces around this really exciting and electric mid-jungle duo for each of these teams, I think Dragoon and Porsche actually really slept on in their position. Porsche, only 17. He is playing in Collegiate. He's a year ahead of his class. Really speaks to how intelligent this guy is and also mature for his age. And he's really started to mature as a player, getting outside of just being a gangplank player, something that will be contested between him and Dragoon as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that like when you kind of shift that into how these teams play, it really feels like Radiance kind of operates through Crimson and no team kind of operate through Griffin. And I feel like Griffin's champion pool, like him leading on Hecarim, Xin Zhao, I think that that's a little bit different than what we've been seeing out of some of the junglers. So I really want to see if Griffin gets a funnel game. I feel like that's where the 15-year-old's in his comfort zone, whereas Bluster kind of playing those assassins or marksmen is where he really leans. So that's kind of like an answer, no answer. But honestly, I don't even know what side these teams are on, so I'm just kind of excited to get in here and see what happens for game 1, and we can talk more about that from there.
Yeah, and before we get into game 1, you were talking about intelligence. We need to go ahead and throw out the predictions here and see who really is showing some intelligence here, as this is where it gets a little bit contested. Everybody else, 100 Thieves GG.
Everyone's right so far.
Everyone's right.
Hold on. Do I have to like what do I have to do? Like send a pigeon to get my my graphic out here?
I'm not in here either. I think
Yeah, we're set. Okay, that's
either,
a bigger
yeah.
crime. Yeah, I'm only here for the day.
So I mean, I guess it's just because they knew that we were the big brains here. We were always going to be
It'd be
right with our
unfair.
predictions. Yeah, it would be unfair to have us in this competition. So
You know what? I'll put my money where my mouth is. I got no team for this one. I think they have a little bit
Yeah.
more experience. Radiance is hands down the youngest team that we have, and while I am excited about some of their initial pieces, I do think that no team's on better form right now, especially given the fact that Raheen was split between whether or not he wanted to play AD or support. I feel like he's still kind of getting back to those marksman skills. We know that he can deliver. He has made it to Proving Grounds, both splits, but not quite there yet for me. And I think no team is playing really well right now.
yeah, I 100% agree. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, the game is ready. It is prepped. It is ready. The casters are ready to send it. So, Dia, Rude Dude, take it on away.
Yes, we are, Trav. Yes, we are. We are so close to being able to start our second best of 3. And he said it himself, we're super hyped, and it just gets so much better because we started off the day with this really big Titan taking on an underdog. But now we have got these 2 teams, and what our analyst desk has rightly sort of topped is the closest match of the day, Rude Dude. And I'm sort of missing the word here. I would say on the edge of my seat as to which team is going to show up, because as Cubby was alluding to, no team have looked really good recently, but you and I both discussed that Radiance has a peak that is so high.
I think that this is a really entertaining feature where the desks seem to be leaning more toward no team. I know I'm obviously with my predictions up there leaning a little bit more towards Radiance. I am very high on Lightpulse as a support player, exceptionally excited to see what they will be able to provide during this series, and particularly when we've seen roaming supports be so incredibly impactful in our last series. If Lightpulse gets his hands on that once again, I think that could be a very key piece into the puzzle to set Radiance up for success. So going into it, we've got the draft here, got a lot of picks to try and dissect here. We talked about Syndra, or they talked about Syndra on the desk potentially being contested, Gangplank as well. Those are solo laners, and from what we saw previously, we tend to see those left till the second pick, or second round really, of the pick ban. But when you have so much priority on a set of champions, maybe you just bypass that entirely.
I will say, unfortunately, we're not going to be getting a Jinx. I was really hoping Scoop would be able to pilot that, but with Radiance taking it away, I think that they are just as aware as our AD is, and the Gangplank removal as well says a lot, as does the Caitlyn, interestingly enough, something that you and I are a little bit more used to on the red side.
Yeah, second time we've actually seen it taken away on blue here, and now you're sort of pigeonholed, I guess, into do you want to ban away the Jhin or accept that that is likely to be first pick for Raheem? Aphelios still exists here as the sort of S- tier of AD carry that you can take, a bit of a budget jinx in terms of the late game hyper carry potential, but no team here, they've still got a lot. Okay, well, they've got a lot of junglers up on the board right now, no real bans drawn either way. It's the Lulu first pick right here for Radiance, and they're going to be looking to pilot that one, hopefully with a hyper carry down on the bot side, but with both Jinx and Aphelios taken away already, you may be looking at something a little bit lower down in that tier list.
Could they be going for a cog
Vayne.
dude? That would be
Vayne.
my hope here.
No, it's a Vayne.
Lord, you're right. You're absolutely right. As soon as I said it, I was like, yeah, probably not. Because I was surprised to just not see the Jhin picked up right there. It's one of those other AD carries that does fall into very high priority, as we already saw today.
Hey!
But Soraka on the other side. Let's go.
No, let's put that accent. Let's put a plug in that one immediately. We've got Scottish Deer. He's being pinned in the desk. No, thank you. But Soraka coming through, right? The healing is pretty much the byproduct. It is the entirety of this identity of this champion right now. It does have some fairly good laning as well, with the amount of harass that you can put down with Equinox. There was a time in previous season where you would put 3 points in Equinox just for that laning phase harass. Scorch as well. But with the MF at that side, expecting to see maybe a bit of a team fight oriented composition already drafted here. That bullet time certainly going to be a big tool in those late game team fights. And it looks like Radiant's trying to battle lane Prio with lane Prio here. We've gone back a season already. Varus versus Miss Fortune going to be our AD carry matchup. Radiant's now have their option of jungler to take here. We talked about what Bluster tends toward here, but it's not even going to be that jungler, that high priority mid laner that the desk talked about. Syndra taken away and picked up by Crimson.
Dude, the plot thickens. Varus here gives us a lot of options, and as you talked about, that Syndra as well makes this a very good pick composition from Radiance, but still leaves me with that little bit of a mystery for the Lulu. Are you going to go attack speed Varus and try and use her there, or are we getting a jungler later on, or a top laner even, that will benefit from everything that Lulu has to offer and provide some sort of hyper carry in their own right? With the Hecarim on the other side, you certainly could use a Bruiser to be able to counter it, as both Varus and Syndra would have a difficult time going through his HP bar, and the second one that he's getting with Soraka.
And now as we head then into this second round of picks and bans, we have this mismatch in our picks. We've got bot lanes on both sides, but we've got a mid laner for Radiance and a jungler for no team. Now we expect to see those pools pinched. You can see the Lee Sin already taken away. Let's see something like the Xin Zhao, potentially a Jarvan who is particularly obnoxious for Miss Fortune Soraka to deal with, taken away from Bluster. Already one mid matchup that they don't want to be playing up against. LeBlanc taken away on one side. Very real possibility that Radiance opt into a second as their set of bans come through. But now no team, they've got a really easy section through the next round of red side picks here, because they're going to get counter pick on both solo laners. This is what Radiance have sort of opted into with this Syndra pick. They know, okay, first off, we are 100% confident in this Syndra pick, regardless of what you pick, what you take as an answer. So they've sort of laid down the gauntlet there and said that, staked that, put their stake on that immediately. They're also going to have the counter pick of top lane to deal with as well. And now we have to sort of see, what does Porsche want to take away?
I mean, with good reason, I think. You're nervous going up against this Syndra, Crimson's Syndra, that was hyped up by Cubby on the desk, but a Yone could throw a wrench into all of those plans. Is this really the gauntlet being thrown here? Because make no mistake, this mid lane is not a quiet one.
Picking Yone into Crimson, it's like picking Viper. It's like picking Riven into Viper. This is the bread and butter of this guy's champion pool. Yasuo Yone player, incredibly proficient on them, and Blaze now laying down the gauntlet. He's saying, "Hey, this is your champ. Guess what? I can pilot and do with it my own rights." An incredibly entertaining draft already from both of these teams here. Gauntlet after gauntlet being thrown down at one another, and there's a very small part of me, dear, a very small part of me that wonders if the Soraka is a flex pick. And I'm going to leave it there and say that, because we've got the rest of it as well to still exist. We've got Viego that has locked itself on in, and now the blind pick top for Porsche. We're expecting to see this be a fairly stable top laner. Weak-sided is how Radiance like to play with their top lane Porsche. It is not a particularly carry presence for the Radiant squad, but what he lacks in the carry aspect of what you may see on screen, he more than makes up for in his conversational skills and in the communications that he's providing to the squad.
Yeah, I'm very surprised to see him opt into the Ornn as well, because though we have heard that he's very vocal, we often get him as this sort of rock in the top side that isn't quite nearly so solid in terms of his HP pool, but more of tends to be this constant threat. You have something like a Graves, you have Camille that does draw resources. Ornn is much more for team fighting and is a little bit of a divergence from the playstyle that Radiance has shown us so far, even if I completely believe that Porsche is able to pilot it. We're going to see that tested right now and up against a Gwen no less, so it isn't going to be an easy lane by any means.
And looking at these compositions now as a whole, now that everybody's pulled out what they so desire, Radiance here, they've got themselves pieces of good team fight here. Ornn is a very good frontline. Viego with those resets really can pop off, and dependent on the build that we get from Raheem, this Varus as well can do very good either instances or consistent DPS. But we look at No Team here, and their team fight just screams priority for them. Like, they should be winning these 5v5s. You've got Needlework across 3, a Fate Sealed on top of a Bullet Time. Just, it is death, essentially. You get hit by either one of those, the other one's going to be layering over on top. And then the Onslaught of Shadows as well, Griffin going to be that huge front line. In addition to having Fury with all of the healing, formerly Plux, that is going to be coming out of this Soraka, the counter pick to the Lulu that they've deemed incredibly appropriate, what they wanted here. I'm incredibly excited to see what these 5 versus 5s look like, and it's not even like the side lane is bad for No Team either. We look at the Gwen versus Ornn matchup, pretty much throughout the duration of the game, we're expecting Gwen to come out on top of that one. Blaze versus Crimson in the side lane, the Yone versus Syndra matchup, we've got sort of the power pick of both of these guys coming to blows with one another, and as that moves out into the side lane as well, you anticipate that Yone surely to have the advantage versus the Syndra in the 1 versus 1. So there are plenty of tools for No Team here in this game to find success.
I will say that, speaking of tools, one of the ones that I see sort of lacking on the side of Radiance is access to the Soraka. It's very unlikely, I would say, that Ornn is able to perfectly line up what would be a very, very long-range call of the Forge God. It's going to be very difficult for Heartbreaker to land, for Varus to be able to lock somebody down, and you just haven't got that much backline access to be able to jump on top of somebody like the Soraka, especially if No Team are on the front foot. It's a really big test for Radiance to be able to find these picks before the team fights go off, to be able to jump onto somebody like the Yone, like the Gwen, and delete them with the incredible amount of damage and CC that they have when combining that Varus, that Syndra, the Lulu, the Viego. All of those guys have to work together simultaneously to eliminate somebody from the board, because if not, No Team have plenty of healing. We can't hear you, Rude. Please come back. Join us once more. We'll find out. We'll find out when Rudude ends up rejoining us. But of course, a lot of this is going to be that pivot that we talked about. Radiant seem to be setting themselves up for a different style into the season. We're going to take a very short break before we pop into the game, and then we'll be right back in just a few minutes with the first game of Radiance versus No Team. And as we pop onto the Rift for the first game of Radiance versus No Team, the stage has been more than set, Rudude. We've got plenty of time to see how this one plays out with, like we already know, Radiance needing to throw out that lockdown, throw out that damage, and find themselves numbers advantages, but they gotta group up to do that, and grouping up is so far away from 0 minutes.
It is. We've got the entirety of this early game. Of course, there's a chance that we try and cheat it. There's a chance that we just go for these incredibly aggressive roams, incredibly stacked overloads onto a top lane, into a bot lane dive, and force those issues and really put yourself back in a great position through the early stages of the game. But we're expecting this, I'm at least expecting these early stages to be pseudo Radiance favored, because I think that the No Team composition just needs an item. Taking an item to scale up. Yes, Miss Fortune, a very powerful laner, but I think that the Lulu probably offers a little bit more than the Soraka does in the laning phase. Varus as well, an incredibly strong laning AD carry to match what the Miss Fortune is going to be putting down. And to hone in on this 2v2 in particular, Varus has Grievous Wounds built into his kit. If you're able to land the Hail of Arrows, the big AoE patch that goes down, you can actually really destroy a Soraka's trading potential by immuning half of the healing or so that she does pop out.
Now, there were a few things that our analyst desk touched on as well that have the potential still to happen inside of this early game before we really get rolling, and a lot of that has to do with the two players that everybody groups up around, that everybody plays around, Crimson and Griffin, respectively. Crimson has a lot of potential to roam over to help his jungler Bluster, two incredibly talented young players, to start the game off on the right foot, and on the other hand, we've all seen a Hecarim gank, and vision simply does not matter that much when there is a Hecarim coming at you. So if Griffin can find the right angles here, he could start to get his own lanes, much like Dragoon, like Blaze ahead.
Yeah, Crimson and Bluster, 31 years old combined, right? 15 and 16 years old. These guys are incredibly young, incredibly raw, untapped talent so far. They're already competing in a group stage here of a Proving Grounds qualifier event. And obviously they're going to be, with Bluster has a slight bit of experience formerly on the EG Prodigies program that he stepped in for EGL playoffs. And of course going to be hoping to see what he can bring to that if he learned anything from the sort of infrastructure there that is provided. And then, of course, on the other side of things, Griffin as well, another incredibly young jungler. There is so much untapped talent that we're thinking maybe need to see just a little bit of harnessing, a little bit of refinement. And I think that that's maybe some of the concerns, that there's an incredibly high ceiling for these players, the mid-jungle duo on both sides, but there's equally a flaw there that if you make one mistake, you may well fall quite far down that cliff.
Yeah, it's very, very scary to be approaching this game, having that knowledge. One of the things, especially when we talk about harnessing people's strengths, that we had hyped up, you and I, before this game began, was a lot of Light Pulse and how often we expect, need him to roam inside of these games. But on the Lulu, things do change quite a bit. We're going to have to see a different side of Light Pulse and test potentially whether he's got that little bit of an extra X factor to move his team forward in a different playstyle than we've seen him in so far. He and Raheen have been dueling it out down here, but while the health bars are getting low, nothing's come of it just yet.
Yeah, this has been an absolute battle down in this bot side. It is Bluster who's here off the back of his clear, started up on that top side to make his way down here in time for any form of play, but Griffin actually ahead of the play right now. He was able to clear his entire jungle, get the crab, go back to base, and is now out on the map with his first recall. He's just been spotted though on a ward, so they know that the Hecarim's down here and they're going to have full information. This is kind of the time where Radiance have to sack off and go back to base, or they could be in trouble.
Oh my lord, they can't though. Their recalls get cancelled by Griffin going aggressive. Scooped and Frey have managed this wave perfectly, and you can hear the energy sort of building in my voice because it's a very small thing, but the waves have been managed perfectly for this Miss Fortune Soraka lane to be succeeding, and well, now they might just start paying for it. Grievous Wounds laid down on the floor. Raheen and Light Pulse separate Frey and Scooped for just a moment, but still, this Miss Fortune Soraka very much succeeding as the shield comes down, the attack speed is building, cleanse comes through for Scooped, and as Frey goes low, Scooped still needs to find those last 2-3 autos, but just can't.
Pivotal skill shots going wide in the lead up to this trade. Raheen missing the hail of arrows, good side steps, whatever you want to call it.
Looking very, very close still. Frey on a knife's edge of HP. is still stepping up right now. Raheem has flash available. You're playing with fire. Frey, no flash, and there it is. Burst of blood perfectly executed by Raheem. It's what he needed to do, and now he may just pay for it with his life underneath the tower. Griffin collects the kill and gets out on sub 100 HP. The margins are thin, but 2 kills tells us that they were sure to be crossed by both these teams.
And whilst it's a 1-for-1, this is so much better for no team than it is for Radiance. They've traded not only the fact that one team loses an AD carry, the other team loses support, they also get the kills in incredibly good places. Now, the leading factor here that puts no team out in front is the fact that Raheem misses what is going to be a massive wave under the turret. He starts off with this piercing arrow, and you highlighted it perfectly here, dear, that he's got the flash, cheats Frey's timing there, and picks him off. And you think that with this massive shield coming through Guardian as well, there's a chance that he's able to live, but Griffin just able to finish enough damage, and you did get to see a little glimpse of quite how many minions Raheem missed under that turret. Whether or not that ends up being a pivotal factor, as these guys have been duking it out in the 2 versus 2, we will have to wait and see, because it's going to be that Noon Quiver picked up for Raheem, so an attack speed oriented build. He's going to be looking to continually put out DPS, but in this composition, if it's not Immortal Shield Bow, then we've got some issues.
Getting a little bit of deja vu up towards the top side as Griffin has made his return, but Scooped is feeling the wrath of Radiance down on the bot side. Flashes away, no cleanse this time, no life for him. Bluster is able to take him down with the help of Raheem, and now chunk out that turret, hugely picking up a plate for the squad.
And once again, the shoe's on the other foot this time. It's a massive wave missed for Scooped down in the bot lane. He's now going to be the one who sat quite far behind. And again, both kills going into Raheem right now are putting Radiance in a very good position to utilize and leverage this bot lane to find a lead. That has been where the lion's share of the fighting has been going down here in this matchup. So absolutely no reason to assume that anything different is going to occur. Looks like they're looking for a bit of a dive on this top side, and Dragoon on this Gwen feeling very confident.
Oh yeah, Portia's super low right now, and with that Ignite as well, Barrier's not going to do you a lot of favors. Griffin is here to collect his toll, and a second kill is going to go his way as he, once again, just gets to dine and dash underneath the tower, getting this Hecarim further ahead.
Griffin is getting an absolutely banging salary for being the janitor of Summoner's Rift right now, because he's literally just walking around clearing camps, setting 200 HP targets at the turrets and going, yeah, sure, why not?
May as well, and with that, 2 kills, and like we said, a Hecarim that is starting to get ahead. You and I already know is a terrifying prospect. I'm remembering getting flashbacks to last Proving Grounds, but this was almost all we saw was Hecarims running rampant across the Rift, and while it may not be that bad anymore, you hit 1 or 2 items, and he will still surely take you down. Keep your eyes on Griffin, especially because, as we talked about earlier, he's one of the people that no team love to play around.
Yeah, obviously, we were highlighting and hyping up this mid-jungle duo. So far, the mids have been fairly dormant in our games, but we're expecting to see big things from them come at those team fight phases. And Blaze now in this mid lane has reached the sort of incredible hype of laning power spikes for the time being. Vamp Scepter, he's pretty much able to sustain any form of trades, and the Berserker Greaves puts him in a very good spot to get that attack speed off on his Q cooldown, and putting him in a great position to start taking some trades. Crimson, so far though, out in front in CS and does have a slight marginal experience lead. So we'll have to see if the laning prowess continues for him. This B1 Syndra cert, or the sort of blind pick Syndra, excuse me, certainly paying dividends. Because we've got Radiance, they're the ones that make the first move up towards this Rift Herald. They've elected to leave Dragon on the bot side up because they're valuing the power that these plates are going to give them.
But they've also brought their AD carry and support up here in a little bit of an odd move, especially so early on. We don't see this that much anymore, and I mean, mostly it's because of what Scooped and Frey are doing right now, picking up plenty of plates towards the bot side. You've got to be able to assure yourself that with Bluster picking up that Rift Herald, you're going to be able to get equal or greater value, but that's a big challenge right now for Radiance.
Dragoon can try and take this 1v2 here. I'm not sure how well it goes for him, but he's got 2 levels on either one of them here. They are going to need Bluster to come and support, because you can see it looking at your minimap. Griffin already working his way up.
Bluster burns the stun to get out. Dragoon chasing him down, but we've got Blaze on the way, and Raheem can't see him just yet. Jumps out with the Fate Seal, forces the flash. Raheem on the back foot, but Dragoon still alive as well. And now the fight is isolated as Griffin finds himself a lonely AD carry. The Wild Growth saves Raheem, though, and instead it gets turned around onto Griffin. Radiant say no thank you, and they do it 2-3 times in a row, eventually finding themselves a massive Hecarim.
There we go, and they're going to be able to drop Herald as well, take down this turret. All those plates going in their back pocket. Starts off with a little bit of vision being missing. Bluster takes a couple of auto attacks from Dragoon right here, but then Blaze forces the flash from Raheem, and then this ulti gets completely immuned by Dragoon's W. Absolute disaster. And then you think, okay, Raheem, no flash, he's surely caught out here. Heal into Guardian, into Wild Growth, into all of the insane healing that the Lulu was able to pump on out. Not a match, was indeed here a match for the Soraka ulti that they were able to put down from across the map. And look, dear, no team, they said, we don't care for your topside shenanigans. We'll try and throw down. It didn't go quite well for them, but they never expended Foray's roam timing, never expended Scoop to do so. They spent all that time trying to take down the bot tier 1 turret. It still stands. There's still a single plate on there. No gold for an entire turret completion has gone over just yet. Whereas on the other side of things, Raheem and Lightpulse able to collect on a turret. Granted, it was shared between them and Bluster, but that first brick did go the way of Radiance.
Consolation Infernal Drake gets taken by no team, but Griffin is hard-pressed to even collect the Krug on his way out of the jungle as Radiance are starting to take that small bit of gold that they accrued as a lead up towards topside and turn it into much, much more. 3 strong down in the bot lane means that Raheem is now getting plates, and with still 2-3 minutes to go, we're going to get some fights happening before plates end up falling. Griffin starts off on the engage, gets the heals from the Soraka, and turns things around with the bullet time. Radiance took a bad path out, and they may not be out just yet.
Not quite the range here for the Yone to find that engaged, and that's a rare thing that you'll end up hearing me say right there. We are going to be able to get a little look back, though, at how all of this started. Raheem just a little bit slower here to move away toward the team, and they think they've caught Griffin unawares here. Unfortunately, unstoppable means that the polymorph does nothing, and feared right on into the bullet time. A little glimpse, a little foreshadowing for what no team can expect to be trying to accomplish during the teamfight phases of this game. Radiance now, though, they've had enough farming plates. It's time to play mid lane ping pong. Raheem, he's going to be sat mid lane, and I don't expect him to be moving for anything other than those objectives.
This is my favorite game, Rudude, where we just pass the minions back and forth. The AD carries get more and more ludicrously fed, and the map, hopefully, gets played around them. We've had Griffin running around left, right, and center, but for the most part, where Radiance's plays have been made have been around Raheem this game, and that, at the very least, I'm really enjoying about this move, because getting the guy who all the plays are being made around into the center of the map seems like a pretty darn good idea if you're hoping to make more of them.
And this is going to be a really telling game for Raheem, obviously coming back into a squad where, okay, attack should die.
Frame, maybe okay. Burns the Wish there. Heartbreaker not going to find him underneath the tower. And unfortunately, Wild Growth going to be used there. Bluster ends up going down, actually, to the Gale Force from Scooped. And what was a 3v2 gets outplayed by no team underneath their tower.
Soraka healing, baby. I mean, you have to buy some sort of Executioner's Calling, and they've got it in their inventory. It just wasn't enough. Now Raheem challenged.
Can Griffin actually go up against a Lulu and a Varus? Odds would say no, especially as the exhaust goes down, but he does it nonetheless, and now, well, a solo Lulu, not nearly as challenging. That is 2 quick kills, and you understand why as the items come back up. 5-1 on the Hecarim now, and the completed Trinity Force puts him ahead above the rest.
Yeah, all of the kills for no team were focused on this Hecarim. Of course, with the level lead, with the lack of resources that Radiance had, he's going to be able to try and take this fight. Remember, no Wild Growth because they just use it in the skirmish mid lane. They were more than capable of, thinking they could take that fight. And then once again here, a little replay of really nicely played mechanics from Scoop, consistently putting out the DPS and then using the Gale Force to finish off the job. And then now Griffin, the absolute charge through his own jungle. 2 people trying to take out wards. What do you think you are doing? The 2-level lead, the red smite here is enough. Exhaust comes down very late here. Raheem already about 15% HP before that one comes out, but I don't know that it would have made a difference either ways. Trinity Force plus Conqueror, certainly a fairly lethal combo.
This guy is honestly absolutely terrifying, because I've seen a lot of Hecarims with Trinity Force spikes. I've seen a lot of Hecarims that were ahead, but I've never seen the Hecarims with that much audacity.
Yep.
Griffin just disregarding everything in his path, and this sort of confidence, knowledge of his limits is, I want to say, uncharacteristic of most junglers. At 5-1 now, his limits are honestly to the sky, because let's not forget, he's going to have a Soraka at his back, and there are so many other threats you've got to worry about with a Gwen and a Yone that really, Radiance have very few tools to deal with.
Yeah, and since Yuumi got gutted a couple patches ago...
May she rest in peace.
may she rest there forever. Soraka is quite happily going to be taking the place of this really strong healing support that can pair up quite nicely with this Hecarim, right? If you're consistently able to find a route to the Hecarim, which is normally the downfall of the Soraka more so than anything else, getting into a position to heal the Hecarim can often put yourself in a whole heaping world of danger. But for the time being, the Soraka healing has been able to come through, has been utilized very efficiently, and of course, a recent Soraka buff that came through was the fact that Wish removes Grievous Wounds, so they have to be reapplied now upon the ultimate from Soraka coming down. And whilst we have one source of healing reduction already from Blusty, you can see Light Pulse skipping his mythic here, working his way straight towards that Chemtech Putrefier, an item pathway that I am incredibly happy about.
Yeah, this is a very, very smart adaptation, and very much a necessary one as well. We see why, well, up towards the top side, yeah, we're diving in Ornn. That's exactly what's happening on the Academy broadcast. There are no two ways about it. This inhibitor tower is going down, and it's to a Rift Herald, no less. No team, they see that inch with everybody up towards the rather mid lane, and they take a mile, decimating the base of Radiance.
I mean, Griffin has really gone up the corporate chain very quickly here. He went from janitor in the early stages to judge, jury, and now executioner. He's just deciding who dies and just clicking all. He sees a target, he wants to kill them. Okay, guess what? It's like that. You killed them. Well done. Congratulations here, because this guy is incredibly strong. 6-1-0. There's one other kill on his squad, and that is currently on the AD carry. So Scooped obviously works for that one, did very well. But not even the fact that it's just he's getting all the kills, he's the one initiating all of the plays. 6 out of 7 KP for him. Again, you're looking across the rest of the squad, the next best is 3. Not even 50% here of the kills shared between the rest of the squad. This has been Griffin exclusively running around the Rift, picking up kills, picking up these plays, and leveraging that into allowing his team to farm up, get even further ahead of their laning opponents, so that the gold can be spread even better amongst the squad.
I mean, Lord,
oh, there's another target.
Griffin, you are just a titan right now, absorbing an ultimate, a summoner spell, everything, and even then, Porsche doesn't even get the second part of it off. Griffin, far and away, our leader in almost every statistic right now. You saw it on the left hand of your screen, but now he's preparing for his most important mission. You and I have seen it for 3 games now already. These mid lane towers are everything.
Rift Herald number 2 would have been very crucial to try and take these down. Oh my.
Doesn't quite get the fear there, but Light Pulse is still pulled in by Blaze with a beautiful reposition of the wall, and the Fate Sealed. Raheen and Light Pulse do not get to play League of Legends today. This mid lane tower, under a lot of siege, will thankfully be saved by Crimson and Bluster.
So happy we got to see that combo in action. Fate Sealed bullet time. Like I said, you get here by 1, you're gonna go down. And it's a little bit of setup from Griffin, but honestly, Blaze with an incredible angle there to look for, and he finds it. Takes down 2 members here. Fortunately for Radiance, Crimson comes on in, and kind of the next wave of tower defense spawned on in. The Syndrome much better with the wave clear, and when there's no ultis to deal with here, it's very easy to clear out those minions. But for the time being here, no team, you can see it down at the bottom of your screen. They've turned around that mid-game trough, and they are now 4,000-5,000 gold ahead, and they are looking very confident here. Pretty much off the back of Griffin But you have to give credit, of course, over to Blaze and Scoop for that play, because that was an incredible foray of what they can do.
Yeah, they have really turned it on now. They've been able to group up. This entire team has around Griffin and are looking pretty darn good, especially if they're going to be able to pick off Porsche here. And I suspect that they just might. You've got Dragoon once again, and Bluster, I think, twice about joining this fight, but we've got a teleport coming in, and it may be more than just these two members of Radiance. With Bluster going low, Dragoon manages to immune the stun just in time and get out to safety, drawing so many resources towards the bot lane again.
But what are they doing on the other side of the map? Fortunately here, the answer kind of nothing, right? The solo laners, or the people that are in the top lane, they currently don't exist. Blaze now finally making his way up to the top side. Crimson as well, obviously utilizing his TP down there to try and dissuade the play. So obviously no team coming out on top, but not quite finding the 100% really, you know, not the entirely best case scenario here, as they were trying to keep on snowballing here, using this Hecarim to continually find plays in this matchup. And we've got to 20 minutes here, dear. It has been a fairly slow-paced early to mid-game right now. The first kill coming through fairly late on, and that Baron could be taken incredibly quickly. You know, we've got 2 items on our AD carry. The Yone starting to stack up his second item as well. Dragoon, incredibly powerful, 2 levels ahead of the Yone right now. Well, now just the one, since Porsche actually levels up at exactly the wrong time. But he's just taking this tier 2 by force. This is that leveraging that I was talking about that Griffin had allowed, because he was so strong, because he's, you know, it's not just the 2 assists that he gives over, it's all of the XP that's missed, the minions that are missed. It's allowed Dragoon to form his own lead, to become self-sufficient in that side lane, not to a point where he can survive, but to where he can win in the side.
It's really incredible to watch, with Dragoon really taking off. This mid lane tower going to fall as well. 3 members of Radiance were committed up towards the top side to try and keep their own, I'll say, win condition alive. We talked about Crimson a little bit earlier on and how important he is to the team's plan. Right now, he's the one who is by far the furthest ahead, has the most CS in the game. The thing that's concerning me, Rooted, is that I'm not sure whether Syndra can actually do too much later on in this game. Already getting a stun onto Blaze, may still be taken down by Dragoon, who just now is coming in and turning directly onto Bluster. Ult's already been extended by Dragoon, and now he is all alone. The teleport comes in to try and save him. A single knockup will connect, but still, Crimson cannot be peeled and cannot survive.
Yeah, Porsche gonna get chased down here as well. A 2 versus 3. In favor of no team. They have got absolutely everything. The cake, the icing, the sprinkles, the Baron as well, Via. Why ever not? We'll take it all as they elect to take this 2 versus 3 here. They know the strengths. They know what they can do with this composition. And yeah, I mean, it is just nasty. The Gwen W means that Crimson just has no say in anything whatsoever. Soraka Wish comes down as well, and it is just absolutely brutal to watch if you're a Radiance fan.
It is, and it is a divide and conquer by Blaze and Dragoon in the end, but ultimately one that was probably unnecessary. Had they both been knocked up, they could easily take this, and it's not because Crimson is playing poorly, it's not because Porsche is, I don't know, not landing his stuff. He is. They're all doing fine, but compositionally, an Aura and a Syndra just aren't gonna match up to a Gwen and a Yone. It's the reality that we're living in now, and it's the reality that we'll continue to live in for the foreseeable future.
It's exactly what we said in the draft, right? If you look at these side lanes for no team, they just win, right? We touched on it right there, that the way these side lanes are going to play out, we're expecting Yone to have the better of Syndra, you expect the Gwen to have the better of the Ornn, and that's just the reality that Radiance have got to face up to right now. You don't expect to lose out when you send your jungler there as well, but that's a state of the game type situation and not just a composition of difference.
Griffin getting chunked out ever so slightly on the retreat here. One of the less powerful Barons that we've seen so far, at least in the mid lane push. But when we look towards the side lanes, you can see the answer to that being set right just now. Up in the top side, Dragoon is pushing. We all know nobody can answer him. Down to the bot side, Blaze is side laning. And even if you can address Griffin, Scooped, and Frey, The reality is that you are not coming out of this situation in a winning scenario. Radiance, for right now, it's about losing the least, and oh my lord, Raheen, he's trying to gain the most, jumping on top of Frey. He does get the kill, but Scooped still should be able to survive, at least you would think. Stun, not gonna quite connect, and now in from the side comes Griffin, while Dragoon is in the base trying to decimate the inhibitor. Griffin is decimating the entire team of Radiance, finding 1 kill in a 2v3, and with Scooped backing him up, he does eventually go down. Blaze, a little bit separated, tries to peel for him, but Bluster does eventually take the kill, still alive on this misfortune. It is a fight against time, and Blaze is the last one left alive, weirdly enough.
Yeah, getting a little overzealous here, I suppose, no team, but overall, they still get a fairly good profit from this. They didn't even... I guess this top side is where it kind of went wrong for Dragoon more so than anything else. If he picks up a kill here, or at least looks to have not... okay.
We see where it went wrong.
There. Yeah, we see what happened. There we go. I don't know why I'm trying to predict things that I haven't seen. But either way, Raheen here, he's able to pick up the shutdown now. And honestly, one of the best places that you could look towards this is an on-hit Varus style, which I'm more than happy with here, to try and, in some way, deal with Griffin. This is like the best second option here, unless you go for Kraken Slayer PD as your true tank cutting build. You've gone for the on-hit as well, which deals a good amount of magic damage, which unfortunately is exactly what Griffin has spec'd in towards. It's like building magic damage against a Mundo here. He just loves building Spirit Visage when he's got the Conqueror, when he's going to have Soraka as well. The inbuilt synergy of these champions and this item is just untold right here.
Yeah, I'm checking in with the Grievous Wounds right now, and while I like the direction that Bluster has gone in with the Chemtech Putrefier completed on Light Pulse, seems nice. It just... It's ever, is it going to be enough? That's always going to be the question, and with the multi-threat composition of No Team, it's unlikely that you're hitting all of the people that are going to be healing with Blaze, Griffin, and Dragoon, who are going to be all up in your business. Griffin now trying to move around the map and keep his team in the know here, has let the vision lapse ever so slightly, as have No Team entirely. With 23 seconds on the Dragon, it isn't the worst thing in the world, but it's something I'd like to see them correct before the next objective.
Yeah, and I think that this objective here is most decidedly going over to No Team without any form of consequence or any form of contest. You can see 3 members of Radiance up on the top side. They have no intention here at trying to take down that Chemtech Dragon, or Hextech Dragon, excuse me.
Crimson in a fight against Dragoon for right now. This should actually be fine. It's a 2v1 in their favor, but Dragoon gets a lot of healing, gets the stasis as well, and now Blaze has come in, unfortunately whiffs on the Fate Sealed, and now jumps right back into his own 1v3. You still do get the Dragon, but you lose an unnecessary amount as No Team, and potentially even more if they're able to crash this wave.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to be trying to pick up some turrets, which is honestly best case scenario, but Griffin going to be coming in now.
Scooped is alone, so he's going to die, and well, on the other side, Frey is now alone, and he should also die. Bluster is chasing him down, and Griffin, desperately trying to get back to his teammate, may just be able to pick up the kill, but Bluster going to be able to get out alive right now, and No Team are starting to show some chinks in the armor that they hadn't previously. They were doing really well, but 1, 2, 3, and 4 picks will make this very much more difficult than it had to be.
Huge recovery and a very nice time here for Radiance, just as the game seems to be seeping out of their control. 3 objective bounties is this going to be that go over to them? All starts off with Dragoon on this top side, searching for Crimson. Again, a really pivotal stun. Just buys the space, buys that time here to allow Bluster to get in. And then the Sonya's buys time for Blaze, but as we highlight, unfortunately, goes wide with the Fate Sealed. Also gets stunned on entry as well, so he can't continue to dish out any form of damage. Immediately taken out here, and those sorts of plays are the ones that do turn games here. Yes, they picked up the Dragon, and in about 5 minutes time it is indeed sole point, so you know, the overlay here a little bit behind. Oh no,
Griffin's still jumping on you though, and that is not going to be easy. Right out of the pit trap goes Blaze, jumping back with that Soul Unbound. Dragoon right on top of Raheem as well is causing a lot of problems, but he doesn't have the invulnerability, and Crimson ends up taking him down. Everybody trapped inside of this choke point, and with no bullet time, seems like no team are having a difficult time of it. But as time goes on, it is Griffin that finally emerges victorious, chasing everyone down, and unfortunately, the heals were just a little bit too strong with no team for Radiance, who did otherwise well to be able to take that.
They absorbed so much right there, and they played that fight incredibly well. They just don't have Soraka on their team. They never managed to find access to the little unicorn in the backline, and unfortunately, she was just sustaining everybody on no team right there. You've got the Yone who's got inbuilt lifesteal, you've got Conqueror as well. Truly was just a kind of crazy team fight right there to see.
What I would give to see that team fight again, actually, because I was so focused on the Dragoon-Rahin interaction, and when that went poorly, I started panicking, Rooted. I was like, oh, well, this actually isn't going to go in no team's favor at all. They just lost I think they lost the first kill, and it was on Dragoon, one of their big frontliners. From that point on, it should have been Radiance continuing to cascade, but as you illustrate, these heals just kept keeping them in the game, and even in a 4v5, it really felt even, and even a little bit uneven, in the favor of no team.
It's easy to forget, right, that we saw one sort of throw from no team, and we still have to think that this Hecarim is incredibly powerful. This guy has been cleaning up on the Rift, picking up kill after kill, and you know, still has that sort of power in the match to facilitate these sorts of plays where if you have a Soraka at your back, you've got the Conqueror, you've got Spirit Visage, you have Soraka. Dealing damage to the Hecarim is not a foregone conclusion, right? You'd start healing him at a certain point if you don't quite have the DPS to go through it. And unfortunately, it's Radiance to find that one out firsthand, quite how daunting this prospect can be. Hecarim as a champion does tend to get a little bit weaker later on into the game, but we're getting that alleviated by the fact that he has an incredibly large lead to start to build up with, and also the fact that he's just got a Soraka building him on from the back as well to keep him even more topped off.
Yeah, I mean, it's just not feasible to be able to take him down in short order, and it's where we see the burst from Radiance be so important. I really like that they were able to focus Dragoon. If they can get that same sort of focus onto somebody like Frey, the fight turns, but this goes all the way back to something that we talked about before the game got to yet another Baron, which is that it's very difficult to access the Soraka. Who are you doing it with?
You've made a very... That's exactly the point here. No team now off the back of that fight in the jungle of Radiance are going to be able to move their way into the Baron as well, having collected the mid lane inhibitor. Just getting snippets here of crucial objectives. We'll break open your base and take one inhibitor. We have top lane open for another time. We'll use the Hextech gates to move into the Baron with incredible speed and swiftness here and get ourselves out onto the map with this Baron here in no short time whatsoever. Hextech Drake not going to be up for another couple minutes or so, and that will be the soul for no team if they can collect it. But we've seen shimmers, glimpses here of what Radiance can look to do in these team fights. But Raheem stepping up.
Oh, Griffin smells blood and he ults right in. The bullet time over the top as well. Brings Blaze in with the fate sealed, and already the pick has gone down onto Raheem, and already the team fight is over. No team should be able to win it. Griffin, though, gets focused down, and as he jumps away, it is Blaze that takes over. You swap out who can heal, who can 1v9, and no team never run out of answers. Bluster being chased down on the back end is a formality. It is Griffin, I will say, getting a little bit antsy, but what it really is time for the game to end. No team have done miraculously, and with a second inhibitor being picked up now, with Baron up super minions in the base, they're going to be sending themselves to the first game win of this best of 3 between Radiance and the now 1 point up no team.
An incredible match by no team here. A jungler's dream for Griffin. He started out the game 7-1, set up his solo laners for success, and set up the entire lane, every lane, all of his carries for success, and boy did they deliver right there. That final team fight, I will add, was fought 5 versus 4. Dragoon was quite happy, hitting creeps down in bot lane was never even needed. Just goes to show you the power, the strength here that this no team roster do have in their arsenal. Just an incredible performance from start to finish to keep themselves out on top and put themselves to what is a convincing 1-0.
Yeah, I like that even the team fight itself at the very end seemed kind of impromptu, because Griffin rounded a corner, saw that there were 4 people, and went, huh.
Oh.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty cool fight. Let's do it, and they did, and
See
it was
hero, kill
incredible. Yeah, they already knew that they could fight without Dragoon, as odd as it may sound, because Dragoon was also doing really well in the side lane. But just as our analyst desk pointed out, as we kept calling back to, it was Griffin that everybody on No Team ended up rallying around, who was incredible on this Hecarim, and who warped the game in such a way that I can't fault Radiance for not predicting it, not being able to play around it, because I don't think anybody really could.
No, I mean, they kind of, it felt really strange, honestly, that game, the way that Griffin got these leads, because it was one quick dive on a low HP member bot lane, one dive on the low HP member top lane, and then all of a sudden, the Hecarim was 7-1. And then we were like, when did these 2 points come to be together, right? Because all of a sudden, this Hecarim's got a Trinity Force, he goes for that 2v1 on the back of the Drake Pit, and just incredible knowledge of what his champion can accomplish, puts himself out in front and sets up the entire team for this win.
Well, we got to see this massive Titan sort of construct itself on No Team, and we got to see Radiance battle their way back into the point where they almost could have taken the game. And, well, we talked throughout the whole thing. There are so many more things to bring up, and that is going to be the job of our big brain analyst desk. The 3 wise men, Travesty, Smacks, and Cubby, are waiting for you on the other side. So we're going to toss it over to them and see what they had to say about that game.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome on back to the desk. We are ready to get into what was a pretty fun game to watch. It was great to see. We talked about it earlier. I believe we called it the Zoomer group earlier. And I want to jump right into the Zooms, man. We had some zooming happening here inside this game. Specifically, Griffin, the ultimate Zoomer, on this Hecarim, man. He was taking names throughout this game.
The ultimate Zoomer. Yep, that's definitely him. He was very fast. He went for the Trinity Force build, dealing all the damage on Hecarim. And yeah, he was actually really well optimized on the clear that we saw him do, the Soraka as well. I liked a very, very large chunk of his gameplay in this game.
Absolutely. And I mean, you were talking about the gameplay. I know that, Cubby, you were a big fan of how Griffin played inside of the early game as well, piloting this Hecarim and really making sure to make the most use out of this fast-traveling jungler here.
Yeah, so when we talked a lot about how he wants to try and really funnel himself. And that's exactly what Griffin was able to do. So his first clear, was able to get a full clear off, got the top crab. He was going from bot to top. And this is an awkward play, like state of the lane, because right now we have Griffin already on a reset, taking his second clear of camps, whereas you just saw Bluster hovering bot side from his top to bot clear to make sure that Raheem and Light Pulse were able to reset. The tough part about that is that they were not able to reset or find a play off of the heavy trading. So eventually, the heals take over. They end up having a much higher health bar to go into this fight. And Griffin, after, keeping himself fed, says, you know what, I'm going to skip my top side. I'm going to go affect bot because Raheem and Light Pulse are low. Pulls off a beautiful dive, getting through all the Lulu heal and damage. And from here, when you get that on-hit Varus behind, when you have that Ornn top, it got really hard for the side of Radiance to kind of have that leg to stand on. And that was the start of where we started to see Griffin go, because after that, he bases, he flips his clearing, so guess what? He's pathing top to bot, so we can punish that bot lane again, where they just got the advantage, and Griffin just was able to snowball this game beautifully. Some really high-level jungling coming out from this 15-year-old in his first competitive games.
Yeah, and Raheem was really behind off of that as well, dying there with
double wave
a double stacked wave there. Ooh, that is definitely a bad time. Yes, he did get that first kill, but you lost your flash, you lost all of those minions over to scooped on the MF. It's a bad time to be that Varus.
Yeah, I would definitely say Griffin came in there with a mission for sure, as the Bears did not have a very fun time. But I would definitely say you could say that a lot about a lot of members here in the side of Radiance. They had a lot of issues going on their team. One of the big ones you could see across the table, Dragoon was having a fantastic time against the Ornn in the top lane, and it really felt like no team had a lot of sense here on how they wanted to play this. And here we have another replay here of just how much of a monster Griffin is.
So this is a really important replay. One, because the team fights and the ultimate precision was really good, but also Blaze on this Yone, that was the first thing he participated in the entire game. And that was at around 16 minutes. He already had 80% crit chance on this Yone. Actually a really big deal. We saw the Yone and the Yasuo, his brother, really struggle in the last series because they tried to get things done earlier rather than later. Yone and Yasuo are scaling champions. You do need to get those crits online. The 0-10 power spike is a myth. It's not solo queues here, everyone. So you do want to actually wait before you get these mid laners in on the fighting, and that's exactly what they did with Blaze in this game.
And it was a fantastic way for them to really showcase some of their skills. They were able to get it into the mid game. I do want to bring up something. I feel like it would be disingenuous of me if I didn't bring this up. No team didn't have the cleanest game, though. We're showing these splits. We're talking about some of the snowball in here, but there were a couple question mark pings that I feel like we were internally sending off as we were seeing some plays happen. A little bit of misplays, a little bit of oversteps, a little hypey-ness coming in there, and Radiance did a great job capitalizing on some of those in moments here. As we can see here in the mid lane, Cubby, this is big.
Yeah, so actually a lot of credit to Raheen here, flashing forward and finding that pick, and then Norg from here kind of falls apart. They're going for split plays. So Dragoon on the bot side was trying to find this inhibitor, find this 1v2, whereas on the flip side, they're outnumbered because they just lost a member as well. And Bluster ended up having a really nice mechanical fight on the Viegos. So, I mean, this is some of the youthfulness kind of showing from No Team. I know that speaking with Blaze beforehand, they only played 7 scrim games before OQs. There are a lot of young members on this team. They kind of have all been friends before, according to Blaze, but really came together last second with the insane roster shuffle that always happens in amateur, where it's like, well, I want to play on this team unless this team gives me an offer, and then I can maybe go to this team as well, which is like interesting, and everything kind of falls to place last second. So I think that it's natural. We're going to see some mistakes. And you know, that's why you got the tag not, right? Sometimes you just don't want to be identified. That's fine. It's amateur. You can make some mistakes as long as, you know, you're trying to grow and develop throughout your path. You know, it's all good. And eventually No Team was able to pull it together and find the win in the end.
Yeah, the power of friendship is definitely there. They got to work on the power of communication, the power of closing out games in a clean manner, but the power of friendship is definitely there, and I think it's going to take them really far in this tournament.
Oh, absolutely. With that being said, I mean, really great showing from them. I do think we do have Radiance taking over onto the red side going into the Nets game, I do believe. So that's going to be interesting to see how they end up adapting and going into this game number 2, as they've got a couple of questions that they got to solve here. With that being said, take ourselves a short break. When we come back, going to see that mystery get solved possibly here as Radiance look to bring this game and get themselves into a series. So we're going to take a short break. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to what is about to be the second game of No Team versus Radiance. We have swapped sides, I believe, Rudu, so we'll be changing things around. But with Radiance now on the back foot, No Team up a game, where do you see Radiance trying to recover things? What's their problem point, or potentially an area to attack from No Team?
I mean, I think that we did get to see a couple glimpses of what Raheen can do. There were a lot of proactive plays being made from him during team fights, sidesteps and things like that were genuinely on point. And I think that if they're able to facilitate this bot lane a little bit, they can definitely find some semblance of success. It really was just that sequence of individual plays that was started out by Griffin that sort of snowballed the entire game. And once those few individual plays gone over, it's very hard to make anything happen. What I want to see from them, just personally, is to get Lightpulse on one of these roaming supports. Certainly something that he was playing very well, at least last time round, and in the OQ's got a couple of good games in there, as well as keeping Porsche on one of these weak side top laners. Definitely survived the laning phase fairly well until, of course, sort of the terror of Griffin started to come on through and absolutely ruin his holiday up in that top lane. So if you're able to keep Porsche in that weak side and keep on focusing Raheen, I think that's certainly a way to go about this.
Yeah, the dream is there. It's just a few small things, a few small kills that if they're not mopped up, especially by Griffin in that early game, we see this game going a totally different way. Now, a big question as well that I'm sort of wondering about, not just for you, but for these teams, is whether that Hecarim gets taken away. Because, yes, Griffin did really well, but I'm not sure whether that's a champion-driven problem.
I think there was certainly a couple of instances where if it was not Hecarim, that play would definitely not have happened. That 2v1, for example, where he charges through the bot side of his jungle, like no other jungler closes that gap. But you can argue a ton of other different situations as to whether or not he would have been 2-0 in the first place for it. I think that I'd also, just by nature of curiosity, want to see some more mid lane action. The desk touched on it beautifully, right? 16 minutes in before Blaze was able to particularly do anything in that first game, and we didn't see too much from Crimson either. There was a really big 4-man scatter in a team fight around the Baron, but other than that, again, it wasn't by nature of the fact that they were playing poorly, just that the game wasn't played around them. And when we've got Radiance with this Bluster Crimson combo, I want to see them tap into that, use the raw mechanical skill to see if they can generate some leads.
Yeah, I get the feeling that had we not seen Griffin pick kills up earlier, that we would have seen a lot more mid-focus, because clearly the synergy with Blaze is existing, and we saw it around that 16-minute mark. This must be where they go to start to get their advantages going, because these two players can rely on each other so well. But now, with that Hecarim banned away, we're definitely going to see a little bit of a different angle. Radiance are playing this one safe, not even letting that Hecarim resurface and forcing Griffin out of his comfort zone, potentially.
That's what we're hoping for at the very least. Xin Zhao still exists here. Jinx is open for the taking for whichever team so desires it. No Team have got first dibs, and for Scoops, obviously a very powerful champion, one that we've seen him perform on time and time again, would be absolutely no surprise here and gets taken away as first pick. Radiance with that Lulu ban, maybe sort of opting into saying, hey, if the Jinx, you don't get the S tier support to pair with it, but things like Thresh still exist. And for Radiance now, you're expecting them to maybe opt into this Nautilus just straight away, because it is one of the only things that can lock down a Jinx consistently. You have that ulti, you have that point and click CC, and that is exactly what you need to make sure Scoops can't be able to fire off consistently during those team fights. Radiance now, though, opting into a Ziggs. And this sets up really well for a Nautilus actually here, if they don't want it, because Ziggs is a champion that is very good at getting islanded on the bot side here. Asked for them to maybe focus a little bit around Raheen, but I don't mind if they're going to enable Lightpulse to go roaming instead.
Yeah, this seems totally fine, especially because we know that Scoops' Jinx is so scary, and against something like the Ziggs, where you're just going to realistically be wave clearing back and forth unless somebody makes a massive misstep, now is where you can grab yourself something that can be a little bit more active on the map, especially because you know that Radiance have the ability to be with that Xin Zhao. You have the opportunity to answer that and get yourself a support. We'll see where not a team end up taking this, but for right now, that Graves lock-in will provide them a nice bit of dueling potentially, and well, potentially a top laner as well. We did see Radiance play that earlier.
Yeah, I think that this is almost sort of guaranteed to be Dragoon's wheelhouse right here. Yes, Griffin, probably proficient enough on the Graves to get by, but it's certainly... Well, I'm going to have to hold my words. I mean, okay, never mind. Okay. Never mind. Ignore me. And I love this, actually, from No Team already, because you see Ziggs. Ziggs is not the consistent AP DPS source that you're looking for. You know, he's not consistent DPS with that magic damage, and up against a Mundo, it's going to be incredibly hard for this Ziggs to take him down. And then again, love this adaptation from Radiance to say, hey, we may not be drafting any more AP, but what we are drafting is true damage on a very short cooldown. So we'll take the Camille here into the top matchup. Really interesting nicheness in this top-sided match, so we'll get into that a little bit later if we get the chance to. But a really weird draft phase between both of these teams. We've got top laners already locked on in, which is something that we don't tend to see very frequently early on.
Yeah, I was just thinking about how how strange this has evolved, because, well, No Team kind of leave themselves in a position where they need to get a initiator support that looks good with Jinx. Thresh has just been taken off the table. I'm expecting something like a Nautilus or Leona to join it alongside that Thresh, and with No Team having to get themselves a nice source of AP damage as well, they're kind of in a hole when it comes to their next two picks in the draft, which isn't the worst thing in the world, since they've got to pick both of them right next to each other anyways, but it gives Radiance a lot more flexibility, if perhaps not the cleanest front to back that we see.
Yeah, exactly, and I love this Yone pick as well, or this Yone ban rather, more so than anything else. As I said early on, Crimson, the Yasuo Yone player, plays both of these guys extremely proficiently, and to say that Blaze played the Yone in the first game, kind of a little funny tidbit here to say that those are being taken away. Looks like Radiance are going to be opting into taking their support blind pick, and I think that this is actually very useful, because whenever you've got a Ziggs on your team, like we've already mentioned, you're not playing for the 2v2, you're playing for the roaming capabilities. Light Pulse on a Rakan, an incredibly adept Rakan player. Well, Leona, you know what?
That's good.
Fits the same sort of wheelhouse. Ziggs Leona, same sort of vibe as Ziggs Ezreal. As you can just sort of leave this guy down on his own, and Leona can move around Summoner's Rift, make all the juice happen in the top side of the map.
Yeah, I like the takeaway almost of the Leona as well, because it denies that pairing from the Jinx, denies this really awesome form of initiation from not a team, and now the Braum being hovered here would theoretically do around the same thing, but with a lot less initiation potential. Braum very good at counter-engaging, and if that's what not a team are opting into, I can't say that I'm following them all the way there, especially because they still need that extra source of AP, and Radiance seem happy with their own composition to dance around, to throw damage into a team that is waiting for the fight to come to them.
Well, and I think that here, Radiance, other than this Ziggs, they have a large portion of dive right here, right? This is Camille, Xin Zhao, Leona, all going to go deep diving, and into a Braum, you know, you just need one auto attack, and then Jinx is more than capable of trying to proc that passive, proc those stuns, and get you really off to the races with that one here. We're looking for magic damage coming out of not a team. They take this Syndra once again, as the desk mentioned, an incredibly contested pick between these two mid laners. So taking that one here is obviously going to be very useful. But it looks like Radiance, they say, you know, we don't need your magic damage. We are more than happy to continue flying at you here. In disengage be damned, Tryndamere is locked in the mid lane.
What am I okay, let me just take a step back here, because Radiance are not, shall we say, pushing into entirely new ground, but this has become a little bit more unorthodox than it once was. The mid Tryndamere we used to see quite a bit of, but has since fallen off quite a bit in favor of the more control mages, taking the Ziggs as their only source of AD and throwing themselves bodily at Scooped's Jinx. Well, promising, doesn't seem like it'll have a 100% success rate. Unfortunately, in the late game, you need a 100% success rate game plan.
You know, I'm on the other side. I'm on the other side of the fence here, dear. I think that Camille Ziggs as a combo is obviously going to be very daunting for Scoops to try and deal with. You know, stunned or not, as long as that Hextech ultimatum comes down, you are guaranteed to find that Mega Inferno bomb in the backline as well. And you know, as much as yes, Braum is great versus the disengage. If Bluster, Crimson, and Porsche all go in at the same time, find that synchronized engage, Jinx can have the Gale Force, the Rapid Fire Cannon, all the range and all the safety in the world. Like I say, Hextech Ultimatum will force you into a death, and there's no way that you're getting 12 different auto attacks off, 9 in fact, if you get the Braum auto attack on all different units that are trying to dive onto you, in the space of which it takes them to kill you. So this is a good composition for killing Jinx. Definitely give them that one. It can be fairly daunting though, you know, things like Glacial Fissure are what make Braum a great disengage champion for a reason. And I do obviously want to say here that no team here, they've got a good draft here into what Radiants are going for. Radiants have they picked the Camille and the Xin Zhao fairly early on when they see what no team were drafting for, and they go, okay, with our R5, we can either pivot a little bit and use Ziggs plus X to try and form a bit of a poke composition, where you can take things a little bit slower, or we can double down and we can say, you know what, we have to just fight you. We have to run at you headlong, and that's exactly what they opt into here. Take the Tryndamere as an answer, and they're just going to try and challenge for that fight every given opportunity. One of these compositions that just runs at you and hopes to take you down.
Yeah, this is going to be very difficult for no team to answer consistently because Radiants have so many ways to press go. I mean, the Solar Flare is something that sort of slid by the wayside, but is still going to be so devastating, especially onto things like the Jinx and onto the Syndra as well, who will have to play sort of a secondary peel option if they want to keep Scooped alive. Because when I look at the composition from Not a Team, I'm thinking Jinx, 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 Jinx. Syndra, well, she does bring a lot of burst, isn't necessarily that same level of consistent damage that you would get for something like a Victor or an Orianna that can spread it across the team. And I want to see if Not a Team can use Blaze's strength to keep Scooped alive and to keep that win condition rolling instead of opting into a more Blaze Griffin style of game.
And to touch on Blaze then a little bit more here with this Syndra pick, my question becomes, who's he trying to assassinate, right? You talk about this burst damage. Are we bursting the Tryndamere, who's going to press R? Are we bursting Bluster, who equally going to be able to press R, immune all of your damage, or you're in melee range of the Xin Zhao and you're going to die? Are we going to be trying to immune, are we going to be ulting Porsche? You know, that's actually a fairly decent call in my opinion. If you can make sure that Hextech Ultimatum doesn't go down and that your Jinx is safe, I'm all for it here, but getting access to Raheen is something that is going to take either a flash or just an egregious misposition from either one of them that, in terms of Blaze, almost certainly going to rely in a death or result in a death if it's in a team fight scenario, or for Raheen to just be completely caught out.
Yeah, it really seems like perhaps the extended team fights will be something to keep our eyes on. While we load into this game, though, we're going to take a very short break, and we'll be right back with the second game of No Team versus Radiants. Welcome into Game 2, folks. No Team versus Radiance coming at you fast as we've gotten back from the draft, having set everything up for maximum enjoyment, Rudude, as we are sure to have with teams of this caliber.
Already have seen some semblance of skirmishing right here. Scooped, getting forced to stop his recall. Raheem with those bouncing bombs. Starting out the laning phase here, particularly obnoxiously, as you would hope to see from a Ziggs. But now's a good time, dear, whilst we're waiting, whilst we're sort of situating ourselves to look at the composition holistically, right? Draw some pictures. Let the people know what to look out for here. And honestly, this is a very easy composition to see what Radiance are doing, right? We have got 4 champions that are all melee. They're going to be doing exactly what you just got to see a little glimpse of right there. And it's going forward, right? We're going to be looking for battles, brawls, skirmishes, anything of the like to find early sets of leads here and put ourselves right out in front. Because as the later this game goes, the scarier Dragoon is going to get, not because of the damage that he does, but because of the damage he does not take. During this matchup, he's going to be, fairly susceptible to a little bit of true damage of Porsche early on, and as the game goes later and later, that does exist. But if the Camille is hitting onto Dragoon in this game, there's something wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be difficult to sort that out, but if that is happening, I'm sure that they'll have to go back to the drawing board with not a team hoping to keep their distance from Radiance, though. One of the big questions that I have is how Radiance may try and play this game out, because we know they want to be going forward, but does that mean that they want to be trying to be the ones to start objectives, or trying to punish not a team when they do?
It's punish them on entry.
Crimson pops the ghost. 2 autos more. Blaze, oh lord, even after the flash, ends up going down. An odd visual thing to happen there, but it happens to the best of us, as Blaze, unfortunately, ends up giving up first blood in a solo kill.
Crimson right here, this is the power of your R5. I love seeing it when players recognize, hey, this champion is going to destroy in this matchup. And we get to see it firsthand, right? Blaze forced to teleport back to the mid lane right now. The ghost expended by Crimson to find that solo kill. He also burns the flash of Blaze as well, which means that he has to be incredibly careful. And also opens him up to several angles of repeat gank. Going to be looking to see how that mid lane wave establishes itself, because if it starts pushing anywhere past that midpoint of the lane, that's disaster for Blaze.
This is that scary thing, though, that we talked about before the match. The unknown, the untapped talent of Crimson, clearly comfortable on the Tryndamere in the mid lane. Could make things a whole lot worse for Blaze, because I'm sure that going into this matchup, you didn't expect to be solo killed a mere 3 minutes into the game, and that leaves you with having to expect a whole lot more from this guy in the future. Crimson gets the wave shoved into him one more time, while Dragoon flashes away in the top side after Porsche has ignited him, and not a team are going to try and convert this at least into a little bit of tempo for Griffin.
Yeah, I remember what we said about this Radiance roster as well. We spoke to Nova before the game, their coach here, and he said that he's more than happy to leave Porsche to be the weak side top laner and let him maybe go down a little bit in farm, because he's confident that he can become a presence regardless. Will still be even or ahead in farm in some cases. This is a detraction from that. This is them sending stock into the top side of Summoner's Rift. Ziggs Leona, and as I say this, I'm going to get proven wrong, but it's not a lane that you play around, unfortunately, and they're going to look to do it anyway. But they can put a lot of stock into Camille early on and see if Porsche can reap the benefits of those stocks being put in.
This is such a sick lane state for Scooped and Frey, by the way. I mean, the safety on this Jinx right now leaves Bluster, well, flustered, as he has to walk away and back over to the Krugs. Scooped is going to be able to pick up the majority, if not all, of this CS, potentially even freezing the wave once more, and he's already got a 10 CS lead. Well, it won't impact Ziggs' ability to push in the wave. For a composition for not a team that relies entirely on this Jinx's ability to carry, it's a great start.
Yeah, I mean, Scoops has played this lane incredibly well so far. Already managed to find a recall angle to find that cheater, pick up the cull as well. Currently hitting very good CS numbers for a bot lane at this stage, where Raheem is having to use that teleport to get back to the bot lane to keep himself even in this bot lane, and obviously down by a significant amount of farm. Certainly going to be struggling. But now Lightpulse.
Nice flash there. We already know that Blaze doesn't have his, but a nice scat of the week as well. Forces Crimson to use his own mobility. The phase rush keeping Blaze safe for now, but unfortunately not safe for long, as Crimson instead takes the aggressive way forward, has that level 6, and now may just kill Griffin as well. Spins to win, grabs a second kill, and is thinking about a third. Is under the tower. Frey barely manages to escape.
Yeah, no spinning slash there for Crimson on the third effort. It means that he's only going to be able to get 2 kills, but that is by far and away more than worthwhile here. Already ramping up that lifesteal that he's going to get passively from taking all of these kills. Already back up to sort of 50% HP, and Ghost popped.
Bro, he's so scary. I am sweating right now watching Crimson in the mid lane.
Is it going to be enough? And honestly, you know, my answer's tending toward yes for this Tryndamere. I think that 3 kills early on is something that you'll be happy with. And we're looking, obviously, the bot lane for Scoop to sort of the current power point that no team are sort of trying to perchance pick up. Unfortunately, I don't know that that's quite going to be able to live up to said expectation.
No, that's going to be difficult. I wonder, looking back at last game, we talked about Griffin in the first game, and he got ahead. And we'd also talked about Crimson in the first game, and he didn't quite get ahead. But now he's 3-0, and I wonder, Rudude, I wonder if our analysts were right all along. And now that he is ahead, will he be able to take that and turn it into as convincing a win as Griffin did?
Yeah, and for those of you that don't know here, Crimson, the twin brother of Sniper, right, our top laner that we got to see take the series in our first series of the day, obviously had a very good performance in that one, now gets to see if his brother can do the same thing, and currently has got all the resources to do so. 3 kills early on, one of which you manufactured off yourself. You've now said, hey, okay, I've got this lead. I can absolutely Goomba stomp this Syndra if you give me just the slitherest of advantages of resources. Immediately, we get to see Lightpulse in there, flash into the mid lane. Zenith Blade spends no expense at trying to pick up that kill, and does so successfully, which is absolutely beautiful. Already stockpiling yet again more stock into the Crimson coin, and that is going currently toward the moon.
Yeah, I mean, everybody already knows what he can do, and a lot like last game on the side of no team, you can pile all the resources you want into the mid lane, and you're still going to have threats everywhere because your Ziggs is getting farmed up in the meantime to add to the threat of an already undying and very fed sword-wielding man in the mid lane. Then you've got a lady with scissor legs up in top side who is more than willing to side lane against your Mundo until Kingdom Come, and really the problems keep presenting themselves for no team. They've only got that one answer, and it is Scoop's legendary Jinx, but we've played a lot of ADC, you more than I have, and in my time, Jinx has never had too good of a time into Tryndamere.
Not taking those 1v1s is certainly not the case. I mean, he is going to be heavily reliant on how well his support can enable him, really. You know, support him quite in the most literal sense right here. Frey does have a difficult task ahead of him as well as Scooped, trying to keep himself alive versus this entire composition. Is not something that's going to be particularly easy. Hextech Ultimatum as a lockdown is something that simply has no counterplay, right? Your best bet as AD carry is to buy a Zhonya's. That comes in the way of a stopwatch for ADCs. Completing the Zhonya's tends not to be quite the correct play. But you get one-time usage of that stopwatch, and you have to use it at like the optimum team fight at the optimum time. Otherwise, you end up just sitting there and waiting for people to wail on you when you get out.
A lot of pressure. Speaking of being wailed on, Lightpulse almost gets stunned up by the Winter's Bite and the concussive blows passive, but will manage to escape that fate. In the meantime, Dragon was unable to escape its own. His first Drake, Ocean Drake, did end up falling, going into the hands of no team. With a Wind next up on the horizon, we're going to be getting a pretty exciting soul here, Rooted, though we're not sure what it is yet. At least eliminating these initial 2 means that it's likely going to be a little bit more aggressive, and while we think of aggressive, we once again, oddly enough, are thinking about Frey.
And currently, a big fight going to erupt.
Lightpulse going all in, finds a beautiful stun, another one with the Solar Flare, and nobody even has to use their ults outside of him, though Bluster throws his in for good measure. Another couple kills go the way of Radiance, and the score is 0-4. That, and they get to get the Rift Herald. It is just their day.
Yeah, kill on the jungler, kill on the herald, thank you very much. We will take both of those, and obviously this Rift Herald is going to do more than just give the 100 gold over to Blood. Still got 5 minutes really before those plates fall off, and I'll be interested to see where Radiance elect to spend this Rift Herald here. Quite a real possibility that they put it in the mid lane and continue to pile their resources into this mid lane Tryndamere, because currently, you know, that present threat that we've been talking about, and we have to keep talking about it because that's everything right now that Radiance have got for themselves. Every single element of an advantage has been manufactured from that mid lane.
I will say that while we've been talking about the mid lane time and time again, the bot lane has been pretty silent, but there's one area in which Scooped is already taken off, and it is the CS. While it isn't any 3 kills, 30 CS to the favor of Scooped is still really nice, and he's being left completely isolated down there against Raheen on the Zig. Seems totally comfortable. As we jump back in, that can continue to extend the entirety of the game, and that's going to be, of course, what Not a Team look to once they figure out exactly how they want to deal with Light Pulse constantly engaging on them.
Yeah, and Raheen, obviously, as you touch on, you know, the CS differential, once he hits level 9, that's just going to completely subside here. It may not subside, but it won't get any bigger. The wave manipulation or the wave clear that comes from a Ziggs at level 9, honestly, just unmatched, right? We've recalled back to Season 4, Season 5 years ago of Ziggs constantly barraging minion waves, Super Mega, Mega Inferno Bomb, Bouncing Bomb, all of it. You used to be able to stall out the game for literally 40 minutes at a time, just by nature of having this champion on your team. And that's something that still exists. Obviously, the stalling capabilities have been severely diminished. Things like Baron are obviously much more useful and much better now at breaking through the bouncing bombs. But, of course, there's still a few little issues that need to be addressed by this No Team roster, because granted that the Ziggs is going to be able to stop them from sieging, but they need to get to a point where they can siege first of all.
And I want to say that if we do get Radiance still in the driver's seat by a few minutes from now, Ziggs is also going to add significantly to their own sieging potential, because really not a whole lot of other folks are. You've got several melees, as you already talked about. What was it? It was 4 melees outside of the Ziggs. So nobody's got any options to really approach the tower, but Ziggs will decimate towers. And if they can get to a point where they are still ahead come 5-6 minutes from now, that's exactly what Raheen is going to start doing. He's going to group up, and he's going to be with his team, threatening the dive, threatening to blow up your towers, either with the satchel charge or with his autos alone, and that's going to be that. No Team don't have a whole lot of answers to a Radiance that is willing to take down their structures and take away their safety.
Yeah, quite literally just the demolition of Summoner's Rift, and that alleviates some of the CS differential that we're seeing as well, right? Yes, you're going down in gold from the CS, but if you're moving around Summoner's Rift, picking up plate after plate, kill after kill on the turret, then it doesn't matter if you're 30 CS behind, because you've been able to pick up 160, 320, you know, cascading amounts of gold that are beginning to increase around the Rift by taking these turrets. And it's not just turrets that give you the gold, turrets that give the rest of your team the gold as well. And, you know, in case we've forgotten, we've got carries in every other role for Radiance here. Outside of that support, where we're not expecting Light Pulse to be able to pull off the 1v9, everybody else with gold in their back pocket is going to be looking very, very cozy.
I think Light Pulse can wall off the 1v9. I mean, we've seen him already doing horrific things. And you know what? Maybe a 2v9 is in order, but it's
okay.
Honestly,
who does he get? Who's he allowed?
Who is he allowed? Am I allowed to give him Crimson? Because I feel like at this point you could. Yeah. That seems awesome. That seems amazing. Let's do that.
Actual just Crimson and Light Pulse. We'll put them in the Death Arena. We'll call it Nexus Blitz, and we'll see if they can come away with the victory here. Obviously, we're hoping that Radiance maybe play the game a little bit more smart than just sending Light Pulse and Crimson around Summoner's Rift as a duo. You know, they do have other facets, other assets rather, to be using, and for the time being, it is just them two. Bluster comes on in, this Herald's going to go down, and mid-tier 1, it's going to get broken open.
It's gone. It's already done. 10 minutes into the game, Radiance are going to be able to take that. When mid-tower is falling first, things are getting fishy. Towards the bot side, however, there is an answer in the making for No Teams. They're going on to dive Raheen, and Griffin jumps right on top of him, with Scooped picking up the kill and getting excited. There is an answer back, and Light Pulse, oddly enough, is one of the folks to get the kill. May just go down into the tower, though, as one more crit would do it. Scooped gets excited, but ultimately is going to go down to Raheen post-mortem.
Okay, 2 kills for Raheem then, and now Crimson's time to shine!
I mean, he's already ghosted. Now he's flashed on top of Griffin. That's 1 kill, and what is this, 2, 3 autos? Make it maybe 4, but Blaze flashes away and just perfectly timed manages to take down Crimson for the shutdown, no less.
Yeah, it is difficult to remember the timings on Tryndamere ulti, you know, scaling as well. The cooldown does get bigger as you level up that ability, but with the timing at level 1, good to see that Blaze is familiar. He's ready and waiting to pop down that Dark Sphere and really finish off this Tryndamere. Plus 600 for that kill. Certainly going to put him in a good stead here as he needs to try and find his way back into this matchup. And believe it or not, Crown of the Shattered Queen certainly going to help him out here. Chance it's Everfrost. But I think that versus this composition, you know, there's not a great deal of ways to break that crown. And then, particularly when you've got 4 melees jumping on you, it will just have an insane amount of value.
It'd be nice to sort of stop everybody from doing insane amounts of damage. Well, speaking of insane amounts of damage, there's one person up here who can take a lot of it, and it's Dragoon. He's also been laning pretty darn well, and I've wanted to point it out for a while. He's already got several turret plates chunked out of Porsche, has burned both summoners so far, still has his flash up, and though it isn't, if you'll pardon the pun, the flashiest matchup, Dragoon is really having a great time.
I mean, this is, again, as you say, right, like a truly tanky champion in the top lane. And yes, Camille, we've talked about it, is going to have that true damage. If he gets to Bramble Vest and Plated Steel Caps sometime in the near future, literally all of the physical damage comes from auto attacks, right? There's a little bit of spinning slash damage from Tryndamere, and then Tactical Sweep does literally negligible damage versus the Mundo when he's, you know, compared to the rest of the DPS that Radiants are putting out. So it's just incredible amounts of value that you get from Bramble Vest, that you get from the Steel Caps, which have now been picked up. But what has an incredible amount of value, dear, is a 4-on-1 Tryndamere who can just roll onto you with just impunity. Regardless of who you are, I will jump on you. I don't care.
Crimson was left completely alone there to take the bot lane tier 2, but Scooped up here has managed to take down not 1 but 2 towers with the help of Griffin, and that's no small prize either. This Jinx is getting pretty darn big, and the game isn't even happening around her right now. It's a completely side lane operation with not a team able to get quite a bit of gold and stay not just even, but ahead, Rudu.
Yeah, it truly is kind of incredible, right? Like they are just moving around and just avoiding wherever wherever Radiants are, right? This is just the classic avoidance strategy. You know, they've got one incredibly fed member. Well, if we don't fight the fed member, his power level in the game doesn't go away, but we're avoiding it, and we're making sure that we can get things elsewhere. And trading currently up on the map, it is just a really good showcase of macro understanding here of quite how they can be playing out this game. So kudos to No Team, because in this sort of situation, last game it was Radiants who were at the back end of this, and they got absolutely slammed. This time round, when No Team are the ones staring down the barrel of what is an absolutely daunting bruiser trying to fly at you, they've been able to manage the lanes, move themselves around the map to avoid this Tryndamere well enough, and generate their own leads as well. So you just have to give them insane amount of props for the way that they've been able to navigate this game so far.
It's really, really impressive with the Mythic already. Oh, nice, Bluster.
Yoink.
All right, everything else falls away. Bluster, he's feeling good now. Radiance, they've got the energy necessary to win this game. But jokes aside, with Bluster taking away the blue, it still is a game very much about Scooped, and with 1 item complete, working on his second, very close to it. He may get even closer if he can pick up some of these kills. Bluster going low, but Scooped now has Crimson on top of him, now has a Bluster as well, who managed to survive all that, and just like that, the game is Uno reverse carded directly on top of the Jinx.
They had one job, it was to avoid the Tryndamere, and unfortunately he's found them. They've been playing hide and seek for the last 10 minutes. Finally, they've been spotted and taken down here in this one. Now 3 kills going over to Radiance, 1 in the back pocket of the Tryndamere, again just adding insult to injury. Rift Herald going to be the second one that goes their way, and of course giving that one over is going to again extend the amount of kills on turrets they can get.
Let's see how this goes. Porsche might actually die. There we go. Dragoon just slaps him across the face with a briefcase. Does not make that look difficult at all. And that is Mundo for you, ladies and gentlemen.
That felt like just a fly swatting exercise, right? Like you spot a little mosquito on you and you're like, excuse me. No.
Yeah.
Get off. I'm trying to farm my creeps here. You're in my way. Get out. And unfortunately, Porsche getting the very rough end of a briefcase, as you mentioned. Dragoon, on this Dr. Mundo, you talked about how well he'd been farming and talked about quite the power that he could have. Giving him an extra kill, certainly not what you'd want to be seeing.
Just for reference as well, he's tied actually up ever so slightly in CS with his AD carry. So this Mundo has disgusting amounts of gold so far, and now having been able to pick up the tower, you can't stop it, Rude, just like you can't stop the Mundo. Scottish Diaz coming for all of us.
I hope he never finds me, honestly. I've got an entire ocean to keep myself safe, but I'm not keeping that one.
Oh, Lord. Frey, I think he actually gets out of here. Light Pulse shouldn't be able to find him, and there we go. Stand behind me, or rather, I will stand with you. Frey manages to keep himself just fine and alive, while Scooped looks for sources of gold wherever he can find them, and Light Pulse looks for engages in much the same right. Peeling away, Griffin has managed to isolate the Leona, and that's going to be a kill going over to Scooped. Very well done. And as the Dragoon has joined up, perhaps Bluster and Crimson could be in trouble as well. Bluster burns the Crescent Guard, but he's going down, and Crimson jumping right on top of Frey says, well, it's not going to be without a price.
Take one. He uses the flash to get on out. Navori Quick Blade's already completed, means that that spinning slash gets him in and out incredibly quickly. Pretty much assassinates the Braum. Yes, you know, he had about 20% HP, but the fact that you can get in and dip back out as though you are, you know, using this ZLT LeBlanc distortion type style, kind of incredible here. And 600 gold now on the kill if Crimson gets taken down. Whereas on the other side of things, right, Dragoon, only 250 gold over his head. So, you know what, they're kind of even in fairness, and I think that's fair. Relative to the game state, I put Dragoon and Crimson at roughly the same semblance of, I don't want to fight them.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd actually really like to see them just straight up go head-to-head against each other. Not
that would be so boring.
I don't... Do you think Dragoon would win? Well, oh Lord, Griffin is not winning. Holy moly, we pan back into the mid lane and he is just gone.
Yeah, that's a really good example of what we're expecting from Camille Ziggs as a combo.
And, well, we're going to get to see it once again, but this time, nobody to peel Scooped away either as Frey goes down. Soon, Scooped joins him. Crimson has his way with the AD carry. Rift Herald gets channeled in the bot lane, and this may very well be a broken base.
Yeah, I'm certainly expecting it. 3 members dead. Yes, Griffin's going to be spawning up in not too short order, but Mundo's not even here to defend this one. Blaze has got Crown, but that's not going to be enough to stop this onslaught here. Griffin, you know, getting caught out a little bit in the mid lane by Hextech Ultimatum is the sort of catalyst for all of this, and now Dragoon is here, going to be looking to try and find an engage off the back end of it. Unsuccessfully so. Radiance clapping back once again here. Now they've got themselves a decisive gold advantage. The gold lead is, you know, currently 4,000 gold. Got the Drakes now in their back pockets as well, Dia, and these are, you know, we talked about the fact that these are 4 heavy hitting damage dealers, 3 of them, all of which are going to be melee jumping in on you. Giving them an Infernal Soul and any form of damage on top of that, going to be absolutely devastating. All of these guys just building raw AD means that the percentages that you get from the Infernal Drake mean that much more.
And missing this bot lane inhibitor tower as the Baron comes up as well is an additional source of pressure that Radiance did not need but are happy to take. With Scooped able to jump in here, assist in taking away that red buff. It's probably not his ideal situation, but anything that he can do to stay with his team, to stay safe, is still a positive play. If Scooped is alive, you've got hope. You've got those 2 items, but he needs so much more before I'm convinced.
He needs the team to be by him, right? And I don't think that this is coming from us, you coming from saying, oh, Scoops, you need to play so much better. You simply just need to play with your team, and that's not a thing that he's not doing. It's just, if you get caught out by, like we saw in, you know, the games with engaged supports, even a fraction out of place here, if you misstep and you've got a little bit of... Okay, that's just rude. All right.
That is rude.
Raheen, come on, man. Let a guy base.
That's the... Yeah.
There's if you get caught a fraction out of place, and then there's if you get caught basing in your own territory in mid lane, and you know, there's a distinct difference here, okay?
Yeah, at the very least, Raheen did expand the ultimate, so you've got, I guess, a window with slightly less AP damage to fight into, but it is not by any means a large victory for No Team. Instead, a brief respite from what has otherwise been a very challenging game, switching things up from Game 1, where they were firmly in the driver's seat. Their macro has already proved really impressive this game, but it's in these team fights where Radiance have been able to dismantle them time and time again, using the power of Crimson and of Bluster, two of the players that we had hyped up some of the most coming into this game, to completely throw No Team's plans out of whack.
Yeah, and it was a joint effort between ourselves, the desk. You know, these guys, we know that the mid-jungle priority in these games are going to be incredibly well sought after. Radiance this time round, they just happen to have taken this game by storm, and 4K gold lead right now hasn't particularly ballooned since that last Drake went down. We're certainly looking to see if they can try close out this game a little bit faster. Crimson finds Frey.
Now, right on top of Griffin as well. This is Crimson's dream, but Blaze is showing up. The stuns are coming through, and already the ult has to be burned with another ult coming over the top, though. That Mega Inferno Bomb chunks out Not a Team massively, and Scooped has just now arrived, but he's on the wrong side of everything, with Crimson jumping on top of him. Frey was completely separated, and Scooped is still kiting it out, finally taken down, as a triple kill goes to Porsche, and Radiance wipe the floor with No Team.
5 for 1 here. Baron should be the prize as well. They've broken open the base in the bot lane. Their opportunities are endless. Radiance take a fight in the topside jungle of No Team, and they absolutely wipe with it here, using their leads, leveraging it into a fight, and putting themselves into a very good position to tie us up for this series. The Baron is going to go down. Lightpulse is here to tank up this one as best as possible. And with that one falling here, gold lead goes up to 7,500 gold.
Oh my god.
And the avoidance tactics there, unfortunately, there's only so many places you can hide when the accessible points on the Rift are limited to your base.
Yeah, this is really, really rough, and it seems like, at least for No Team today, denial has not been the best strategy. They're still working on itemization for Scooped, but like you and I talked about, it's been the positioning that has been the hardest in trying to gather so much gold on their AD carry. No Team have found themselves in a position where they can't actually be taking fights, because by the time Scooped is arriving to them, they're well and truly over, and you're just giving an additional 300 gold over to Porsche, over to Crimson, over to Bluster, and it's starting again. Blaze gets caught out of position, and he is long gone before that Inferno Bomb hits the Rift, with Frey chased down and deleted. There's no peel for Scooped, there's no hope for No Team.
Yeah, you remember when I said that the limited areas of the map that you can go to are extended to your base? That's what happens when you leave the safety zone, dear. You get absolutely gooned on and fall within just a couple of seconds here. It was, you know, a nice notion that Frey thinks that he can support the Syndra on a journey to clear out bot lane minions, but that's just not the case here. They're going to be able to take even more as well. Bot inhibitor falls, mid inhibitor is sure to follow, and granted the top wave's not in a great position, but they've still got plenty of time on this Baron. They've got plenty of opportunity with both those inhibitors just falling. It's effectively 5 minutes of time where they can go, oh, well, we have one lane where there's no inhibitor, we have one lane where there is an inhibitor, maybe we focus our attention there. The bot side objective is about to be cleaned up on their way out. The timing for all of this for Radiance is just syncing up so perfectly that the game from here honestly plays itself.
It really does, and with Bluster managing to collect yet another dragon, putting Radiance on Soul Point, an Infernal Soul Point no less, this doesn't get a whole lot easier. With 4 people doing massive damage, Griffin is struggling to deal with Light Pulse at this point. 2 levels down on him, Light Pulse is on the hunt, and Griffin gets chunked out massively and will be taken down inside of the enemy jungle for his quite literal trespasses. Light Pulse collects the kill as God intended.
That's a solo kill.
That's awesome.
That's a solo kill. I don't care that there's an assist for Raheen and that his ult's on cooldown. It's a solo kill. That's all I have to say.
In spirit.
Yeah, in spirit, yeah. He was going to take that fight regardless of if he had Ziggs ulti. That was an absolute brawl. But you can see Radiance now dotting their I's, crossing the T's. The fact that they pick up Griffin there is you know, a great addition to what is already going to be a very traditional way to close out this game. They've done the hard part, getting the Baron and breaking open the base. Now all they've got to do is shepherd these minions in, watch mid lane, watch bot lane as those super minions start to stack up. Yes, no team may be able to clear the waves for a few seconds now, but wait until that double super minion wave starts crashing in the bot lane. There's one mid lane being shepherded by Porsche as well. It's a matter of time before these minions overrun the base here of no team, and they're forced to make a decision. Do they take a fight topside, or do they let their base die to the super minions in the bot lane?
Not a team desperately looking for an engage, and they seem to have found one, burning everything to try and get Light Pulse. It's a story we've seen before, and Crimson, he's read the book as well, jumping right on top of Scooped. He takes him down, and the hope of no team once again falls with him. Radiance have wiped the floor once again inside the base of no team with this squad and get to move right on, passing through the top lane inhibitor tower and directly onto the Nexus towers. They know that the game is won. They know that they're going to game 3, and it is anyone's series as we await that final game. And Radiance, they just look for more damage.
Victory pose right there as they set themselves up outside the fountain. A well-fought game by Radiance, and once again here, it's just one set of individual plays that start the snowball and take over the game here. This time round, it's Crimson. Solo kill in the mid lane. Thank you very much. And then he just proceeds to slam every single fight here. One instance where he dies, but guess what? His team takes your base, takes your Nexus, and that, my friends, is a war trade.
Yeah, the resources just get funneled into him, and, well, Crimson did so well. Everybody else on Radiance really came together around him, and no team definitely had the macro plays to try and get back into it. I'm going to toss that one over to our analyst desk to break down exactly how all the dynamics of the Rift work, and we'll be back in just a few minutes.
Thank you, gentlemen, for the fantastic cast. We are back here at the analyst desk, but we are gonna, not take our time too long on this one here. Ironically enough, half our players do have school tomorrow, so we are going to run through some key points here. Starting real quick, we did hype up Griffin at the last time when we came around. I feel like it's only fair. We have to talk about the person who held true to their name, Crimson in the mid lane for Radiance.
Yep. My sword, Crimson, in the mid lane on Tryndamere. He's been locked into playing these mages for the open qualifier for the last game as well in game 1. He's finally unleashed to play his crit melee carries in the mid lane, and boy oh boy does it look phenomenal, man. I'm super pumped up by this one. I'm sure he's feeling it as well. He's like, yes, I can finally play my champions. It looks really solid.
It really does. Hey, look, he's got the show. He's got that top laner blood in him,
Yeah.
Everybody knows it. Like, he's able to show off and put that on full display and show what put him up there at the top of the ladder for himself. But over on the other side, we do talk about Crimson. Unsung heroes. Cubby, there's some unsung heroes down there in the bot lane, and they came into this with a good strat for themselves.
Yeah, I wish that we had a couple replays to kind of show off like how they were able to have this strategy on red, but with some of the prep that we did before game 1, a couple champions that we were really looking out for. Scooped on Jinx, right? 3 plays in OQs to played it to 2-1, and then Syndra for Crimson. That was the big champion for him. That was 2-0 in OQs. Well, guess what happened? Jinx gets first pick, so you get to build a comp around that. What do we have? We get Ziggs, Leona, and Camille. That makes things a nightmare for Jinx. And then Syndra, someone that we knew was going to be contested in this series, also taken. Guess what? Another immobile carry that really cannot deal with those Camille ultimates. So I thought the strategy from Radiance was much improved this game. I had a lot of ways to get on these backline carries for the side of no team, and I thought they executed it much better as well. And of course, shout out to Crimson, who not only was able to get that first solo kill at level 2, level 3, but also shout out to Light Pulse, was able to get there, help him repeat, and help him make that level 6 really hit as he picked up 3 more. So I thought it was a much improved game from Radiance, but also a much improved approach, which really helped get them that win.
Yeah, they're really making use of that red side draft as well with this one, with the counter picks.
Yep.
We do know that no team will be moving back over to the red side, so they won't have those same opportunities. But really good use of that while they have it. They now have to adjust that over to blue side once more.
Yeah, and I'm very curious to see what kind of strategy Radiance has going into the next game, right? Because they did have an excellent strategy. They said, all right, we're going to leave the Jinx up as bait, and they made full use out of it. So the question does become, do you guys have some other bait that you can pull out from the blue side, or is it going to be no team that's going to be able to turn around and throw out a big thing of juicy bait for themselves. I feel like it's a little bit harder to angle that.
I'm curious. I mean, game one was an orange strat from Radiance, which I think with Porsche lines up. But I thought that game, I mean, we saw some of the ability of Crimson and Bluster really shining. I know that from speaking with Bluster ahead of time as well. I mean, he's really excited to work with Crimson, right? And he's fully recognizing the fact, like, hey, you know what? We were both super young. We have a lot to learn and a lot to take in throughout this series, or this season. But every series, I feel like the two of us are going to get better, right? We're going to keep on leveling up. And there's a reason that these guys were picked up by Radiance. There's a reason that we have them making it in OQs. They're very young, talented players that we feel like can make an impact at the next level once they get old enough to play there. So the fact that we're seeing some of those moments shine through and kind of hearing these young guys speak upon that, and especially for Bluster, using some of that experience that he picked up with EG, subbing in for EGP at the back half of last season's Proving Grounds. Good to see from Radiance after that tough game one. I think blue side's really tough to operate on this patch, and red side's a huge advantage, especially at amateur and the TP changes. So I don't know if an orange strat's going to work, and if they do this time around, please take away Gwen.
I'm sure it also helps Bluster and Crimson that they're able to pass notes in biology class, you know, making all the extra synergy and extra tips and tricks while they're in school as well.
You aren't allowed to text in bio, man. I don't know how they're able to do that.
Yeah.
At least I wasn't when I was that age, yeah.
Well, Cubby showing his age a little bit here, but
as always, man.
As always.
Pager.
We had to bring in the Boomer for the Zoomer squad here, but with that being said, we are going to go ahead and see what has been learned here between these two teams. Going into Game 3, what lessons have been taught and what has stuck. We're going to take ourselves a short break as we get ready for the next game here between Radiance and No Team, so don't touch that browser.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Game 3 on the horizon, and an educating evening it has been, as our analyst desk so kindly alluded to. We've got No Team going up against Radiance once more, and if you missed out on the first two games, well, it's the best of 3, so it's 1-1 right now, with No Team taking the first game and Radiance looking good taking the second.
They really did. Like, it's been a story of two different players, honestly, for each of these games, right? Griffin set up his team for success in game number 1. Crimson was the success in game number 2 here, and all of the pieces coming together to support those players really have showcased quite why we were highlighting the mid jungle as the place to be looking at in this series. And I hope that game 3 just gives us even more to showcase that, right? Let's maybe get some just hardcore 2 versus 2 action going on between them and see which one comes out on top, and maybe that can be the snowballing factor that takes us through to a win.
Yeah, I'd be really excited to see all this action sort of coalesce around the mid lane, because while Radiance did really well in that mid lane last game, a large part of that really just had to do with Light Pulse roaming up, but it's the Bluster Crimson combo that got me so hyped. Light Pulse is an incredible roamer, but if Bluster isn't there, it just doesn't hit the same. I want to see if we can get a little bit more of that action while No Team are forced to constantly adapt, because we've seen Griffin and Blaze work together really well already, and that sort of 2v2 when opted into by both sides is going to be full of fireworks if they just give us the chance to see it.
Exactly, right? We're sort of sights the 4th of July and we're kind of like, come on, please. I'm ready for this show to unfurl, really. And if this sort of pops off here in game number 3, this is typically the way these series go as well. You have one game which is a stomp, another game which is stomp on the other side, and in a best of 3, now both of these teams wanting to win, we may well see a little bit more of a tempered approach, and then just an absolute bang as we get into the game, you know, to get that lead, to get that emphasis on finding the points and finding the win. That's just everything that the teams are looking for.
Now, I've got a question for you, Rudude, and this, I'll say a little bit unrelated. As the draft goes on, we get to see what the adaptations are for both teams. Does having 100 Thieves next, followed by Radiance on stream, qualify us as a family-oriented broadcast?
Yes,
Yes,
100%.
you think so?
Yeah,
I was
of
just
course.
wondering about that. Yeah, I think it's only right. I think it's only right to say.
We're always family inclusive as well as you know, family oriented. Sure, we'll have the whole family on. I mean, Viper will be on at some point eventually. We'd like to imagine. I mean, this is the Academy channel after all, and you know, we were expecting Viper to be in there at some point.
If
so,
only we could
we'll
get
have
3 teams going
Yeah.
up against each
That'd be
other.
hey, don't count your chickens before they hatch. That could very well happen.
Yeah, limited time game mode coming at you soon. Oh no! We spilled the beans. Well, let's refocus on the draft. Well, we've got the time to, and before Riot hunts us down for releasing their plans for the next season, we've got a
We're leaking the
Viego
script.
ban taken out by no team, and that, at the very least, is very well warranted by today already, with the Rise and the Gangplank joining them. The Gangplank especially standing out to me as something that I would have really liked to see, and the Xin Zhao something that I'm happy to see return.
Okay, so we've still got this complete detraction from AD carry focus. Caitlyn left up in the first game that we've seen so far tonight, and not first picked here. Has to be left up as, you know, you're leaving this up and you recognize, okay, we're giving over Caitlyn here, right? If it gets through to B2, B3, poof, something's gone wrong. You have something in the works that I'm just, you know, not ready for apparently, but it does get locked in. Lux, typical pairing here with the Caitlyn. You know, you take this as the bot lane duo, honestly. It matches Thresh Aphelios for me in terms of what they look to accomplish. You just hit one binding, trap underneath, bim bam, thank you very much. Like, that's it. You've hit your skill shot and you've won the lane, essentially. Have to wait and see what no team go for, because they're kind of not forced into taking the Lux here. Lux as a standalone support, honestly not the greatest without the Caitlyn backing it up. But instead, dear, we are going for a very Crimson-oriented composition already. This is the Focus My Mid Laner tech, where we go Gragas, which is most likely playing for Porsche on the top side, as Xin Zhao. These are already 2 knockups, and in the second phase of picks in both instances of game 1 and 2, Yasuo was getting taken away. This time, they're not giving him the option.
Oh my lord, and the picks just get flashier and flashier as well. Yeah, we've got this big wombo combo in the mid lane, but now we've got a Lee Sin picked up for no team as well. This is going to be a very, very exciting one, and a high tempo one as well, because Gragas, the tankiest champion that we've got so far, likely isn't going to be the focus of the game outside of its pairing alongside Crimson.
You know what's exciting about this Radiance composition is just how easy it is to execute, right? Like, just finding a fight this game is going to be incredibly easy. Radiance don't have to particularly do anything. Like, literally, launch a cask in the general vicinity. Doesn't matter if you're knocking them forwards, backwards, left, or right. The snap R from Crimson, which we know that he's going to have in the back pocket, is just going to set up for beautiful amounts of success. Now, of course, if you end up waiting a little bit too long, there's the opportunity to not quite find the biggest amount of wombo combo from that, but you're going to be able to start a fight regardless. You will start fights at a given instant. But they've got this bot side priority for no team. We expect the top side priority for Radiance, and as such, they will be probably sacrificing a little bit down in the bot lane. You know what this is a great game for, dear?
Tell me.
Karthus bot lane.
What?
Look at the magic damage, right?
Sorry, just do that one more time. Karthus bot lane. I can't say
Karthus
that I
bot
see
lane.
it.
Karthus bot lane. It is. Now, you don't have to see it, dear, but I'm telling you. This is my role. I'm supposed to tell you why it's...
Alright.
This is a Karthus bot angle. Gragas is actually probably going to go full AP this game, which is kind of why Karthus bot won't probably happen. But either way, to talk about probably things that are going to occur, right? We've got these jungle-focused, not even jungle-focused picks out of the early phases. We've got solo lanes still to be picked up by no team, and then the bot lane still to be picked up by Radiance. You can see those picks already starting to be banned away. It's a lot of bot lane focus, honestly. This could be and I'm thinking out loud right now, Gragas Yasuo bot lane, but with Crimson on your team, surely you give him the Yasuo.
You have to have to give him the Yasuo. There's actually no way that they take this away. I mean, we're going to get to find out pretty darn soon, as there is still the chance, of course, that Gragas does get flexed into the support role or the top lane, but with the TF locked in, you may have just called the weirdest flex of today. Taking the Yasuo potentially again, so I'm still alleging it, away from Crimson. There's half of me that's like, yeah, do it, flex the Yasuo down, and the other one that's like, well, can't Raheem just play ADTF?
Well, okay, it's probably not going to be ADTF, but APTF bot lane honestly probably seems as suitable as anything else right here. They've opted into going for a little bit more magic damage. I still would have preferred the Karthus. I'm going to keep that one in my, I'm going to keep that on record quite happily. No team now have to try and decide what top laner they want into the Gragas, and Gragas as a top laner, incredibly good at just mitigating pretty much anything that you want to put out, right? Like, goes even versus Jax, he's actually the counter typically that we used to see versus Jax, does very well versus Renekton and all of these very Bruiser-esque top laners. Instead, it's going to be the Mordekaiser, and I absolutely love this matchup for the Mord. Again, these sort of R5 counter picks that you get coming through, incredibly influential, and in this composition where Radiants have drafted around a Yasuo, he needs to buy a QSS now, because otherwise Mordekaiser presses R, and all of a sudden that draft composition that you picked up just gets thrown out the window.
And I like the Mordekaiser, especially when we consider its micro interactions, how it's going to lane against the Gragas, how it can take Yasuo out of a fight. Those are things that I really enjoy. However, Rudude, I do have something that I need to come to you about here. I'm not sure that I like how it fits into the composition from No Team overall, and potentially you'll be able to sway me, because I see a composition with no engage.
And I think that the engage here in this composition, they don't need it, right? Look at what I touched on what Radiants have to do to engage, and it's
oh my god,
it's Raheem bot lane. Okay,
it's Raheem bot lane.
Well, obviously it was Raheem bot. Twisted Fate Raheem bot lane is the important part. Let's leave that. We'll put a pin in that. We'll come back to that later. Okay.
We will.
No team here don't need engage in this composition, dear, because what Radiants have to do to engage is press a single button and then a single other button, and then that's everything pretty much. All that you just have to press Gragas R, you press Yasuo R, and then you've done it. That's the engage. We did it.
I'm pressing X to doubt. I see what you're saying. So,
they have to mitigate the disengage. Is my saying is that no team don't need engage because they have to mitigate they have to be disengaging. They have to mitigate Radiance's engage. There will be fights regardless. They just have to not die.
Yeah. This is being promised to me, and I'm gonna hold you to it, Rudude, because I've seen a team with no engage that I'm worried about already today, and I saw them fall apart when they weren't able to get to objectives first, when they weren't able to effectively disengage, and now, faced with the chance that I might see it again, I do start to get nervous, especially because no team sort of got their taste of this last game, being on the receiving end of a Leona and trying desperately to solve problems with the Braum. However, time is the greatest teacher, and as our analyst desk has already covered, we've had quite a lot of learning take place inside of this series already, so I can't wait to see it play out, especially with the flashy champions that we already talked about. The Lee Sin, the Yasuo, we joined alongside that, the LeBlanc, and now the Mordekaiser as well. There's plenty of skill expression rife within this game.
There really is, and as much as we've talked about the Radiance composition, I think it's now time to lend a little bit of time over to the No Team. I know we've still got a pin in the Raheem TF bot lane, and I'm going to leave that in there for as long as possible because question marks are pinging over my head as well. The No Team composition is actually very strong. If we take out the Mordekaiser and ignore what's going to happen up there, because we're hoping that's going to be an isolated laning setup anyway, this mid 2v2 is incredibly powerful. We've got Griffin LeBlanc, we've got Griffin on Lee Sin, LeBlanc for Blaze. It's going to be this really a different damage profile on both sides. Incredibly mobile, incredibly high damage. You've got a little bit of CC from the Tempest, and then the Cripple as well, and then the Chain from the LeBlanc. So if you're trying to lock somebody down, you can get away with that one very easily. Whereas on the other side of things, we're looking at, Xin Zhao Yasuo, which, yes, don't get me wrong, very good 2 versus 2, but it just doesn't quite hold the same candle for me to the immediate burst damage that Lee Sin LeBlanc are going to be able to pump on out. And Dia, in case you didn't guess it, Oh my word!
Oh my God.
It's a battle.
Raheem's running in here. He's surely going to die. No, but the hook comes in, and it's on to Blaze, who instantly gets ignited. But as Radiance just get torn asunder, it is not a team that are cleaning up, with a Dragoon picking up 1, 2 going over to Griffin, and even Scooped getting his fair share with a double kill. That is basically an ace.
No, not basically, dear. It is.
No,
It's
because
just
they
an ace.
respawn.
Okay.
That's why that's insane, Rudin.
Do they just win now? Should we just pack it up?
X to doubt. I'm returning back to my old safe place. X to doubt. I'm not sure what's happening here, but a Scooped returns to lane, waving the white flag. I suspect it is nothing but a clever ruse to get Radiance all on top of them again.
You know, do you want me to try and break that down? They fought level 1 and they lost. Let's look at it that way. They got Karma
sick.
Mantra Q. We have Mordekaiser. The level 1 was never going to go well, unfortunately, for Radiance. You just look at the level 1, and it's just unfortunately not the greatest.
I wish we had...
Production's just made a very valid point in the leaderboard right there. Crimson is now a bot laner. Raheen is role swapped to mid lane, so they've got the right champions in the right positions. So the players, though, off in different roles.
That's true, and you know what? I'm excited to see how Raheen's Twisted Fate ends up going. I think my concern is that I'm not sure how fair of an evaluation this is really going to be on either Crimson's Yasuo or Raheen's Twisted Fate, because, well, you got problems, and they are in the form of sometimes 2 long swords and a dagger, sometimes a health crystal and a dagger, and sometimes just a dark seal, but problems nonetheless.
I mean, everywhere for Radiance now is up in an uphill battle, right? Like pretty much every lane, actually relatively. Coincidentally enough, okay, I'll have to hold it. Griffin and Bluster. Yeah, there's no way Bluster wins these.
Oh, that's the cue.
Go, take it.
The sharp intake of breath.
In the game, do it. Throw it
away right now. He sees that there's a fight going on in the bot side, and Crimson looked good, but now in the 3v2, it doesn't look like it's going to be good enough. Well, the Raheen funnels his way into the bot line, getting a stun and getting a kill, using his support to help pick that one up. It is chaos on Summoner's Rift, and Bluster is still alive at the end of all that as well. There is something in the water here, dude.
I don't know what side teams are on anymore. We're just seeing fights at random instances on Summoner's Rift. It's like actually like we're playing a team deathmatch. They just spawn in a section of team in a different area of Summoner's Rift, and we'll just battle it out there. Like, why ever not at this point? This time round, it was only a 1-for-1, so it wasn't like an ace on one side here. It wasn't an ace. The second one, this early on. Okay, Raheen.
This one might be. If only Unleashed Teleport wasn't a thing and we could get everybody in the bot lane once again. Scooped ends up picking up another kill, though, and it's 3 for him, only 4 minutes into the game. The guy's got 7 kill participation, 100% of it at this point, and things are looking good if you're a fan of Caitlyn. If you've been waiting for her to show up all day, this is the place to be.
You know, I'm sad because in the draft, I was looking at these compositions and I was like, this is giving me Gigabyte Marines versus SKT-T1 vibes at MSI, and if you're a long-time esports fan, you will know exactly what that means. It's Peanut played the Lee Sin in the jungle and had 21 kills inside 14 minutes or something absolutely crazy like that. And fortunately enough, this is exactly how this one appears to have panned out, because we have just got everybody absolutely duking out every given instance. By some miracle, okay, Dragoon forced to flash.
That was a nice flash.
It was. By some miracle here, Crimson has managed to put Predator boots on his Doran shield, so hopefully Riot can decide what they're working with that one for.
That would be awesome.
So the Predator enchant on D shield seems absolutely bonkers, but important little stock take right now is that all of this, chaos and skirmishing has been going on, and it's important to illustrate here that no team are very far ahead. They have got a 3,000 gold lead at 5 minutes into this game, which is an insane proportion of the gold, right? You look at the percentages. If you clash yourself in a major lead when you have, I think it's 52.5 or 53% of the gold share. I may be wrong on those, honestly, but they've got way more than that right now.
Yeah, it is not even close, but Crimson is going to try and make it so. The hook just barely coming up short from Light Pulse does save the life of Frey, but with Scooped freezing this wave over on his side, Crimson is in hell right now. He cannot approach the wave. He cannot pick up CS at his leisure. It is up to Scooped to decide what resources he gets and when, and for one of the most talented players in this lobby right now, this is not the game that you wanted to have.
This off the back of the Tryndamere game where he absolutely styled on No Team is just the complete opposite. He's kind of feeling himself, you know, we get into the lobby, yeah, let's level 1 5-man everybody, and then all of a sudden you just get absolutely Goomba stomped in the 5-man and your wave's been frozen.
Oh.
There is a jungle though, both of them are here.
Yep, Bluster is ready and Frey is getting focused. Crimson may be able to pick up a kill, but the Zanya's Hourglass, or rather Stopwatch, does save him just long enough. Light Pulse goes down, and now the hunt is on as the Sonic Waves goes wide. Griffin ends up jumping right back, but Crimson jumps in one more time as Scoop collects kill after kill. Not even the arrival of Raheen can save them, and it's 1-11, 6, almost 7 minutes into the game. Dude, I was uncomfortable with it at 2 minutes, but at this point, I feel more than comfortable saying that this game should be going to No Team, barring some sort of Mother Teresa level miracle.
You know what, dear? I'll give you that one. I'm on the same wavelength right now. Honestly, do you know what? After 5 games of genuinely very, I'm not going to say very close because the other 2 games were kind of a blowout, but very intense kind of games. This is the game 6 I needed. This is the more relaxed issue of League of Legends, honestly, that I needed to get me going through to finish off the evening. No Team here. I mean, they are just so far ahead that any form of comeback, as you say, is bordering on Mother Teresa levels of Mickle if they can make it happen. So, Radiance right now, a slow, painful bleed out here. Maybe it becomes a little bit quicker. Depends on how well they want to play the game, honestly.
Yeah, at this point, we may genuinely see quite a bit of running with faces, although I'm expecting the Mythics to really be the trigger for that. Yeah. Mythics and, like, maybe Second Dragon. I think that's when we get just, like, the full-on send as well. We're already getting some of it in towards the bot side. Scooped, still alive, by the way, underneath the tower. Picks up another kill, and Crimson doesn't even pick him up afterwards. Under 100 HP left on this guy. He's still up. Blaze has picked up a kill, and things continue to get more wild. 6 kills now on Caitlyn. It's a race to the first Mythic that Griffin wins just by virtue of his recall.
Yeah, and honestly, right, these plays you can see by the blinking health bars off the bat at the end of No Team, right? Like, these plays wouldn't be bad if the game state was anywhere near even. Right, like, if there wasn't a 5,000, 6,000 gold lead already, those dives are going to be successful, and they're going to be, you know, be fairly swingy and fairly decisive in a matchup. But unfortunately, that's just not the case. They're going for these dives, and they just don't have the damage. Or Scooped and No Team, they just have enough to sustain themselves here. You know who I feel bad for, dear? It's the top laners. Everybody else is having fun. They're diving, and this is the epitome of top lane. There are currently 15 kills in this game. And Porsche has been a part of one of them, and it was him dying at level 1.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate for him. It's actually because he's actually done pretty darn well, considering that his opponent had 1 kill, 4 assists going into the lane. He's only 20 CS behind. He's actually been the bastion of this team that he was purported to be coming into today, but we're going to get more action inside this lane, where he lands a red card in the mid lane, which means that Blaze gets to live. Oh, it was red, but you know what? I don't think I can say anything about it because Raheen is not meant to play the Twisted Fate in most scenarios. However, as we pan back into the mid lane, Bluster may very well go down, and he does so to Griffin. With Porsche coming over, Griffin's got no safe place to go, however, and he's going to give over the second kill, basically inting live as No Team lose their lead entirely.
Yeah, it's gone. Goodbye. Radiance right back into this game.
Yeah.
Dear, okay, now look at where the kill went.
Sure. Oh, God. Oh, no.
It went to the worst possible place.
No.
We've got 4 carries on this squad.
Oh, no.
And a Nautilus. Now, Light Pulse, granted, a carry for
Oh, that was sick. That was really sick, though. Wait, oh my god, the screen. I can't see anything, but I can see the scoop. He just went down. Holy moly. Just in the nick of time. We're getting Radiance coming back into this with a force. They are nowhere near back into this game, but I am loving their attitude because we were expecting them to just vibe.
I mean, unironically, this is probably the best season to make comebacks happen, right? Objective bounties are a thing. Big bounties on kills. Also a thing. They've just won a 2 versus 3, 3 versus 3 on the top side where the enemy bot lane had a Gale Force, tier 2 boots, and a longsword where we're just missing pretty much an entire Gale Force out of that.
How much do we collectively PayPal Crimson if Radiance win this game?
Well, I think it's how much does Crimson PayPal No Team, you know?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, No Team they're playing a different game, but you know, it's one that takes full advantage of where they are, and nothing exemplifies it more than watching Porsche just get melted in the bot lane. He's done nothing wrong, but as is the life of a top laner, he must pay for the sins of his forefathers, and the Rift Herald is going to help No Team give them just that. Porsche goes down, this tower's gonna go down, and 11 minutes into the game, we've got what is fast approaching an almost 10,000 gold lead.
Oh, here we go, Raheem, Predator number 7 of the match. Let's see. Once again, not going to quite find anything here. Kind of, you know, best KD for the team actually right now, with straight up and down 1. Joined with Lightpulse, who's been a part of 100% of the kills, so there you go. You know, I talked about Lightpulse being the carry for the squad. He's been everywhere making these kills happen.
Oh, Raheem, though, with the flash here, he doesn't need the Predator. Crimson right on top of Scooped, uses that last Whisper to finish the job, but when Scooped flashes over the wall, Lightpulse is going to go for him instead. Crimson decides that it is time to dine and dash as Lightpulse goes down. This Yasuo would be lucky to get out alive, but unfortunately, he is not Sky Masterson levels of lucky for you Music Man fans out there. No, not Music Man. Was it Guys and Dolls fans out there?
Yeah, that's a completely lost reference on me, unfortunately.
Sorry,
but either way, he doesn't get away. The local's not on his side, and Crimson takes his fifth reset back to the fountain. And now the Drake's starting to really stockpile here for No Team with this dragon going over. That's 2 to the 0 here that Radiance have got for themselves.
10,000 gold.
10,000 gold, dear. Ding, ding, ding. We have hit. We did it. And I can now give you an accurate percentage on how much of the gold they've got. It's basically 60% of the whole gold No Team have, which is by far and away a majority lead.
Yeah, this is absolutely massive right now, and likely the biggest sort of game that we are going to get from No Team. But again, I hold out just small bits of hope, mostly for my entertainment, that Crimson is able to continue to find these fights. Because the thing is that while the fights haven't been anything close to even, they've been just crazy enough that anything could happen, Rudude, and that's what's got me keeping my eyes on this game. Raheem pops right back into the jungle to clear out a ward and look for yet another Predator play. It very well could be the one that brings them back.
It really could. You know, Destiny isn't up and available just yet, but that's the power of Predator. He doesn't need the Destiny to make himself transverse Summoner's Rift incredibly quickly. Now Griffin
Right,
finds
that's
that
a
hook.
Once again, though, Bluster right on top of Frey, and Frey almost goes down, but flashes over the wall just in time, not getting a single kill. This is disaster for Radiance, and no more so than it was at the 0 minute mark. We are going to get even more kills as Griffin gets out alive illegally in this mid lane, and No Team continue to pick up the kills. It is 420. It is the best time to be on Summoner's Rift.
And actually, these times that people are getting away from No Team, they have had less than 100 HP on at least several occasions, right? We're talking like double digits at this point, so even more so than that, and
Yes,
it really is kind of
Crimson.
crazy.
Yes, Crimson. Crimson can. Oh no, he can't do it. Oh, he almost did it. Oh my lord, that was way too close. Woo!
Yeah, welcome to AD carry, honestly.
Yeah. Considering that 2 skill shots were missed, I guess.
Yeah, and he still almost won.
Yeah.
Now,
That
who
was-
wins this one?
That was great. This one I don't think is as close. They're both melees. Porsche may get away, but oh, that was a very nice safeguard. Griffin is continuing to take the fight in the face of not one, not two, but three people, and it's because he's got Dragoon on the way that makes it once again a 1v1. Griffin goes back and recommits onto Raheen and manages to survive for long enough that Dragoon finds himself a kill as the Destiny takes Raheen out. He rejoins the fight from the backside, whips out another gold card and says, I'm ready to go.
Crimson's here now to take over the job. Dragoon, can he last against the three
Crimson.
people?
Oh,
The
no.
answer? Decidedly yes here, dear. He's got the stats of the Xin Zhao, granted. The Xin Zhao decidedly far behind this game, but stats better than no stats here in this instance, and keeps himself alive. More gold, more kills, more action here. No team, they're extending this gold lead, and I'm going to give you a chance now, dear, to place your bet on what the end of game gold lead is going to be.
Okay, like the difference between No Team and Radiance, yeah?
Yeah.
I think we ended at, what is it at right now? It's
13.
at 13. I think we ended at 21.
21, okay. That's bold. That is, I'll go 17. And
17.
yes.
That's a coward's guess.
That's a my bad, I guess. Sorry, I it's more so that I value your optimism at Radiance's ability to stay in the game whilst getting absolutely smashed in every team fight.
I'm writing this down. 21 is where we're going. Let's see. Let's
Okay.
see if we can get there. At the moment, we do have some mythics that have come in, which is really nice for Radiance. It gives them that extra bit of utility. In some cases, survivability, especially looking at you, Crimson, who it seems like everybody else is also looking at as he gets kicked into oblivion and then autoed down. Bluster likely to fall as well. The question is really whether Griffin will die, and the answer is very much a no. As Blaze arrives, it's going to be another kill going over as Porsche meets his untimely end for way too many times this game, now reaching up to 4. Nobody's quite at the 10 death mark just yet, but it's a race to get there.
We're doing our best, okay? Porsche, Crimson has unfortunately forgotten that you have to have 0 kills for the 10 death power spike to really take hold. But now No Team here using this Rift Herald, attempting to break open the base. And you know what? Attempting is honestly the wrong word right now. Forcing open the base. They're going for more Nexus turrets on the cards.
I think that, well, they get the charge there, actually. And Griffin, again, I will
He's
say,
fine.
shouldn't go down here. Gets a massive shield and now a teleport into the base. If they win this fight, they win the game right now. And No Team want it, and they want it bad. A very nice wind wall does manage to save Light Pulse and Crimson at the same time, but even so, this game may well be over. Turning back onto the tower, No Team are going to try
they're
instead
cheating.
of the slow way, the tutorial way in towards this game, taking down the second inhibitor tower of the game at a mere 18 minutes and turning right back onto the dragon.
Alright, these players are biased. They prefer you over me. They're trying to get as much gold as possible. They could have ended the game right there just by hitting the Nexus turrets and minimizing gold uptake. They decide that that's not the play for them. They want to get as much gold as possible. You know, take all their jungle camps, deny all the enemies, all that good stuff. Let's get as close to that 21 as possible. I can hear it in the comms right now, honestly.
you know who I'm happy for?
Who's that?
I'm happy for the next sort of rounds of casters that will be covering No Team and referencing back to the stats and going, yes, their average gold lead at 15 minutes is 20,000. And going, stats team, is there something wrong with this? And the just bureaucratic shenanigans that will happen.
My favorite is when the like you say, future broadcast talent are going to go, okay, No Team played this game. Let's go and have a look and see what happened this game. They look at the review and go, well, this game is absolutely useless to me. What game 1 and 2, absolutely. You know, you've got a lot to draw from that, but this one has been something different. So we're going to get into what should be the closing out of this game within the next. I mean, there's a very
Couple
broad
thousand
span,
gold.
honestly. That the next, if Dia has his way, 5,000 gold at this point,
Yeah.
4,000 maybe. So
It's absolutely doable.
I think they're at 16 now, and I said 17, so I'm kind of doomed, honestly.
I will say, or rather, I have this question, perhaps, that, you know, Radiance, we're set very, very far behind from the onset, and a lot of times, this is not something that they would go after in their scrims, for example, right? You get a play like that and you go, okay, we're going to try that again. However, it is fair to say that there is something to be learned and practiced from being even this far behind, and Radiance, honestly, are doing quite well. A lot of other teams, even inside of this tournament, would see a situation like this and go, well, there's no hope. And while Radiance may truly believe that there's no hope, they're not playing like it at all.
I'm gonna quote you, dear, and with the screenshot of the leaderboard, and then the quote, Radiance are doing quite well.
Now, come on, man. It's all relative. As Raheem flashes forward, we're going to see how well double Last Breath lands. But again, Crimson doesn't manage to get any kills off of it. It is a wallet-slapping difference, a walloping given to them by No Team. Well, nobody's been felled just yet. Porsche is the first one to go down. And we'll see if any kills get picked up on the other side. Scooped has already fallen, but No Team are taking their time, collecting each individual piece of 300 gold as it goes. And Dragoon is saying, enough of this, I gotta get to dinner.
Yeah, as Dio once said, Radiance are doing really well
Radiance
here.
are doing really well.
And they're currently, with 2 players still alive, it's all relative. That if we check back to level 1, they only had 0 players alive, so this is a pretty good uptake for them. Currently diving Nexus turrets, just why not?
Come on. Oh, no. I was hoping that with double towers, Dragoon wouldn't quite be able to get that kill, but unfortunately, it seems like that was just not to be. It might just be that the Nexus is the only thing that can take down No Team right now. 17k, they could just do this for you, Rudude, but it seems like No Team are backing away, leaving the base in shambles, but Porsche just isn't having it, commits forward, and this game would be nothing if not content. No Team say, fine, you want to end the game, you want to give this one to Rudude, we'll help you out. They collect the last few kills, turn right back onto the Nexus, or the next players, whichever comes first.
Yep, unfortunately here we're cycling gold into them right now, and the Nexus turrets have already fallen.
We were so close.
The Nexus, I assume, has already gone over, so it is indeed No Team.
We were close to
21,000. You were pretty close, honestly. Those kills did get you pretty close. We'll have to hope and find out what the final results are, and who the clearly superior analyst is here on this desk, at the very least. And you know what? I don't envy going back to a desk for that, to try and analyze that one. Good luck, guys.
Yeah, it is very difficult to break down what happened. However, No Team did have a great level 1, and in the past 2 games, I think that it's fair to say that while this game was unfortunate, the series itself wouldn't be considered a fluke if you were to look back at this. Had Radiance or No Team won on the day, whichever one of them had gotten luckier in that level 1, whoever had the better level 1 comp, whatever it is, could have won the game, and nobody would have batted an eye, because up until this 3rd game, every game was quite close, not in the sense of that, you illustrated this earlier, not in the sense of that we had these games that at the 20-minute mark were still dead even, but that they were played cerebrally with the strengths of each relative team in mind, and either No Team or Radiance, I wouldn't be surprised to take this again in a rematch.
I couldn't have said it better myself, right? You can make an argument for either one of these teams to have won this series. It just so happens that, if we'd have played a best of 5, maybe Radiance take it, but this time around, the best of 3, it's No Team.
Yeah, and you know what? You said something I couldn't have said better myself. That for the last game of the day, there's nothing that I would rather have. This was so much fun to watch, so much fun to cast, and Radiance and No Team both performed admirably on the day. Let's see what our analysts thought of that game, of the series, and of the day.
Hey there, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the desk as we just witnessed a game of League of Legends. Definitely was
conceptually, I think you're right.
yeah, conceptually.
I don't actually think that we need to look at the draft at all.
No, I don't think there's a draft.
Pardon me if I'm overstepping. I don't.
No, you're not. No.
We're gonna have some laughs about that, right? I think that when we're playing at this level, we definitely want to see the high ceilings. And
Yes.
sometimes when we push to get to that, we have some games that go sideways. That one was a very sideways game that got out of control very fast. As I said previously when my mic was muted, the thing I love about League of Legends is I've never seen the same game twice, and I definitely have never seen a start to a game like that. So in terms of talking about it, I really don't know if there's much to say about the game. In terms of some of the things to say about teams, Radiant's still a team that excites me. I know that's a pretty ugly loss for them, but that game was over at the minute mark, as that would be an FF and scrims. I've been there. And when you think of that top side, Porsche 17, Bluster 16, Crimson's 15. And I think these players have a lot of upside as we keep on moving. And then for no team, I mean, these guys are posturing to be one of the strongest amateur teams that we have that aren't affiliated with an LCS team.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely correct on that. I feel like even though that game 3 was a interesting one, game 1 and game 2 was definitely something that was very interesting to watch. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Of course, we will have, like you said, the jokes, the memes, the any percentage speed run tweets. There's all sorts of different things that can possibly come up from that. But honestly and truly, there's a lot of fantastic talent in between these two teams that were showed on the Rift inside of game 1, game 2, and even in game 3. We had a moment there at the end where we got to see like a chain of CC. We got a glimpse of the beauty that could have happened from the side of Radiance, and all of us like, ooh, oh, hold on, ooh. And then we looked at the gold and remembered that it was 17K. We have a replay apparently. If you
Of the whole game.
of the whole game, if you guys are interested.
There we go.
We can go through this joyride together here as
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh wait, 1 second. I'm not able to hear you. Say something.
Testing, testing. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Perfect. All right, I'm on my line.
Single moment. And I swear it's coming. Oh, here we go. Raheen, he goes in with the Predator. And Gold Car's one guy. And, actually, I'm a color caster. Travis, you take it from here.
oh, what? Everything's going crazy here. Everybody's dying left and right, man. Like, it's just, what do you call this besides a bloodbath? As it's just not taking people light pulse accepts his fate. It's just everything goes awry so quickly. There was an idea, there was a Predator popped, and then it was like a Jack in the Box, and it absolutely scared Radiance. It just popped them back on their back end, man.
Yeah,
I think
turns out when you Mordekaiser your Q on 3 people, you get your passive right away, and then you
Instant.
deal a lot of damage. So it's pretty good.
Yeah, also, I probably wouldn't pick LeBlanc there, but once again, this is a young team. Seeing big, high-level, like, you know, some conceptual mistakes, not surprised about that. And I think that in terms of when we flip the script, no freaking team or no team, that's their @ on Twitter if you want to shoot them a follow. Definitely go support these guys. I think that, you know, a lot of these players are ones that we thought would be picked up by LCS-affiliated orgs, especially Griffin, you know, being 15. The fact that he isn't on an LCS-affiliated team was a big surprise to a lot of us. Dragoon was someone that was in talks for, you know, potentially landing an academy spot, especially after his Scouting Grounds performance. And I think that these guys are coming into the season of Proving Grounds with a little bit of a chip on their shoulders and really proving it on the Rift. So I know we are going to talk with them rather soon. I'm really excited to hear more from them, kind of how their early season's going.
Yeah, we do have an interview that is going to be queued up with Dragoon, so that's going to be fantastic. I'm really excited to kind of pick Dragoon's brain, kind of get an idea of some of the things that went on inside this series and how the offseason was treating them, because last time Dragoon was seen was on a first-place team inside a Scouting Ground. So it's all the talent here is fantastic, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what the future has for all the players that are here. As we've talked about it numerous times, it's been the tagline for it. There is so much young talent here. But with that being said, Smats, do you have any closing remarks for us here?
That was a fun time. We got 6 full games, and it's
Yeah.
only day 1. You know, we're getting ready for tomorrow at this point, hoping for 6 more games, hoping that it all goes smoothly again. And yeah, I'm really excited for No Team, man. I think these guys are great.
Absolutely. And everybody, really, go check out our guest for today. If you haven't already heard of him, you're under a rock. It's Cubby Come
He's
on
kind
now.
of random. Yeah.
He's kind of a random.
Yeah, I host a podcast with a bigger random, so you know. It's,
Oh, man.
Well, at least
Podcast
I'm bigger
at
than you,
random.
right?
Oh man.
One of Specs is on every day, so you know you can't random check me on here. Yeah.
But check him out. His at's underneath his video over here. It's at Cubby so you can see him. You can follow him. Sometimes he'll post things about League. Sometimes he'll post things about his golf swing. You don't know what you get sometimes, but
Hopefully both are good.
They're both hopefully good for you. They're being posted anyway.
I was a 5.5 handicap this last year, man. It was not bad.
Hey, look, I don't know what that means, but I'm happy for that.
Oh man.
That being said, thank you guys for the desk. We're going to go ahead and get ourselves prepped for a interview here with Dragoon. So we're going to take ourselves a short break, and when we come back, we're going to be getting prepped and ready with Dragoon. So, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you don't go anywhere. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome on back. Travis C here, and I'm joined here with the top laner of No Team, Dragoon. Dragoon, you just came off of a pretty hot series there, man, and I gotta ask with the basic question: how are things going? Because you guys just came out of a very chaotic game there.
I mean, we were a little down after game 2 because, I mean, obviously it's a best of 3, and going into game 3, it's, a little stressful. But after the level 1 in game 3, I think we were just laughing for 30 minutes. Like, I won't even lie to you. If you guys know Amateur, you guys know the Daniel RMC record, right?
Yeah.
I swear to God, for 25 minutes, we're just talking about, can we break the Daniel RMC record this game? Like, we were just laughing. We were just laughing for 25 minutes and trying to get somebody on the enemy team to 29 deaths. That's what it was.
That was what you were striving for.
It was what we were striving for. Like, it was too funny. It was a really fun third game. I mean, there's actually a lot of alt chatting going on, like a lot of banter, because I mean, you know, it's a little disingenuous, but like they kind of knew the game was kind of over at 10 minutes, you know? So there's a lot of alt chatting going on, like, you know, can we remake? Or, you know, it's just banter after like every single play. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, I saw a lot of white flag emotes being used from the bot side. So I can only imagine what the comms were like at that moment. I really quick, I want to ask about you specifically too, because you're coming into this event here. You came off of the first place team from Scouting Grounds. How was the off season for you going in, and how was it finding yourself on no team with these squad of players?
Honestly, the off season was a bit rough. I did have a tryouts with an academy team. Unfortunately, I kind of choked them. I was actually pretty sick during them, but I also kind of just underperformed. It is what it is. But afterwards, it was kind of just like awkward because I felt like a couple of the amateur rosters were kind of getting like for example, AOE held tryouts, but then they kind of just had their IMT thing happen, like not last minute, but the roster kind of just came as a 5. So there's a lot of amateur teams that kind of just got float rosters like all of a sudden. And basically me and no team were kind of like the homeless people because everyone else kind of had an unfortunate off season. And I mean, I thought all the players were really good. So we also thought each other was like the best possible route going into the next season. There was like some other people on my team had some other offers, but like they declined them because they thought this opportunity would be better. And I guess we just thought we were just better players as a 5. And I mean, it's looking pretty good so far.
It sounds like you guys went from the squad that was unlucky, that was lucky that y'all found each other. I mean, it sounds like the 5 of you guys really are cohesive, and honestly, it does show. In game number 1, you guys had a fantastic time. Game 2, of course, had a little bit of a rougher time, and then game 3, everybody had a good time. You had the top laner experience, I noticed. You get to participate in all the fun that was happening. You were still a juggernaut, but
yeah, I was just watching the chaos unfold. I mean, like, I was just like swapping. I think I had like the highest CS that game. Like, I was doing my own thing. I was doing top lane stuff. I was just farming jungle camps, and I see that like a skirmish went 4-0, and I'm like, oh, cool, I guess. You know, I'm just winning the game. You know, it was kind of like a cliche top laner moment. I mean, it was a
top laner's dream.
Yeah, exactly.
I just get the farm and my team wins. Cool. All right, I'm about it. All right. Well, Dragoon, it's been fantastic, but now I got to hit you with the hard-hitting questions. These
go ahead.
are questions that I was told by XT himself. That these are the questions that he wants to see interviewed. He said, and I quote, "No mercy to the talent. They must be prepared." Are you prepared, Dragoon?
Okay, I'm prepared. Also, shout out to XT. That dude is the most 1v9 manager ever. That guy is goated. That guy is amazing. I love XT. Anyways,
right.
You can go on with the question. I'm prepared.
Let's see. Let's see if you still love him after these questions. All right. What is your favorite Yu-Gi-Oh card?
Yu-Gi-Oh card.
Yeah. This is one of the questions.
I am a fan of the original anime, right? So I'm listen, I'm as classic as you can get. Dark Magician. It has to just be Dark Magician. I'm as classic
on stream.
As you get.
Goated on stream live. Dragoon is now goated. All right. Anyways, what dance move would you most likely see XT do at a wedding?
At a wedding?
Yes.
This is maybe like the most like. What even is this question, bro? I'm on Academy broadcast.
This is an XT. This is an XT.
I don't know, man. You think I know random dance moves? Like, I can't even answer this question, man. I don't even know normal dance moves. Well, I mean, I'm sure XT would like. Yeah, like he'd pull any move. I'm pretty sure that guy could do literally anything. But I could see him doing the worm, low key. I could see him doing the worm.
I see that. I was going to go with Spinaroonie, but that's a good answer. Good answer. Where did you put my Game Boy? I think is XT. This is what he wants to know. Do you have his Game Boy? I can pass this one.
What are these questions, man?
This is what XT wrote.
Yes, I stole your Game Boy. I stole your Game Boy like a decade ago. It's
There you
actually,
go.
It's under my pillow right there. Actually, I'm sure you guys know. You know, playing your DS when you're like 9 years old, and your mom would come in on your room, and like your DS is under your pillow. His Game Boy is under my pillow right now.
All right. So let's see. You have your culprit. Anyway, last question. Do you like jazz?
Yes, I love jazz.
Okay,
Jazz
look,
is probably like my favorite genre, or second favorite genre. I play solo queue and I listen to jazz. I'm not even gonna lie to you. It's literally mental nirvana. You can't get tilted listening to jazz.
I got a new tip for next time I play. All right. I'm down for that. Well, thank you for that, Dragoon. Any last words that you would have for anybody who stayed tuned, that was checking you out, that longtime fans of Dragoon or is a big time fan of this new squad of players here?
Listen, this squad, we are literally going to absolutely run through amateur. Okay, I'm actually looking forward to going against 100X. I think 100X is one of the teams that we find pretty difficult. I'm definitely have a couple of nerves going into. I really am looking forward to going to General Sniper. It's going to be a fun series for sure. And any of my longtime fans, hey, listen, this split is going to be a good one.
It's gonna be
Shout out to my teammates also. Those guys are goated. I love playing with them.
Absolutely. You love to see it. Well, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for us here tonight over on the Unified stream. We appreciate every single one of you for coming out, checking out all of the craziness. We had 6 games at us, back-to-back best of 3 series going the distance. We hope you all have a fantastic time. Make sure to tune in same time tomorrow to be able to see more of the Proving Grounds circuit action. Take care.